Yankee Stadium. The New York Yankees at home against the California Angels. And the Yankees right now are red hot at making a run at first place in the Eastern Division of the American League. And they are home. Yes, it is still the house that Ruth built. And where the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, played. And where Joe DiMaggio roamed in center field, the Yankee Clipper. And in 61 home runs for Roger Maris. And for the man who's played more Yankee games than anyone, Mickey Mantle. And we are in Yankee Stadium in New York and in center field in Monument Park, where on May 30, 1932, the first of 3 monuments was dedicated to a great Yankee. His name was Miller Huggins, the former skipper of the New York Yankees. There are 3 monuments and 16 plaques to Yankee heroes here in center field. And Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, delighted to be here with you tonight when we talk about baseball and the Yankees and history. Dave, it all seems to come together right here in center field.
Well, yeah, you think about guys like DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle that patrolled out here. The fact that these monuments at one time were in play until the renovation in 1974 and 75. But you think Yankee Stadium, you think World Series. 31 times they've played the World Series in this ballpark, with the Yankees winning 22 times. Metropolitan Opera star Robert Merrill with the national anthem. Yogi Berra going into the corner to take the hit away from Sandy Ambrose. Berra jumping in Don Larson's arm after the perfect game. This is baseball history here, New York's Yankee Stadium.
And it is somewhat ironic we are here today because the tabloids in New York are full of the news about the possible return of George Steinbrenner to the New York Yankees. Is he, was he, will he be a part of this great tradition?
Well, I don't know. Don Mattingly says anybody that has a business worth $300 million and has more than 50% deserves to have a say in the action. But Fay Vince is going to have to make that decision.
All right, we are ready to go with baseball. And you know, over the past 10 years, there has been one constant here at Yankee Stadium. Over the last 10 years, there has been one constant at Yankee Stadium: the sweet swing of Don Mattingly. He has weathered the controversial reign of George Steinbrenner, the stormy ride through 10 managerial changes, and 5 consecutive seasons of finishing in 4th or worse. Is 92 the season the Yankees will wipe the slate clean? They are led by their new manager, Buck Showalter, the youngest in the majors. Off-season acquisitions, Danny Tartabull, and Charlie Hayes, who has found a baseball home coming from Philadelphia, and an all-star in Roberto Kelly. For Mattingly, the dreams of a pennant that have escaped him. For Buck Rogers, a building year in 92, but the emergence of young players like Junior Felix, Luis Polonia, and the surprising Rene Gonzalez, along with some very solid pitching, has made the Angels the surprise of the West.
Hey, stay tuned next. You got the California Angels and the New York Yankees fixing to go at it.
Stadium, as the Yankees and the California Angels will wrap up this series. Yankees have won 3 in a row coming into this game. And our Energizer starting lineup for the visiting California Angels: Luis Polonia leading it off in left field. Vaughn Hayes makes the start in right. Tremendous start in center field. Junior Felix, he'll be batting 3rd. The designated hitter, the veteran Eubie Brooks. At first base, it'll be the left-handed hitting Lee Stevens. The second baseman, a rising star, Rene Gonzalez. The veteran at 3rd base, Gary Gaetti, will be batting behind him. Doing the catching tonight and batting in the 8th spot is Ron Tingley, and the shortstop batting 9th, Gary DiSarcina.
And pitching for the New York Yankees tonight, right-hander Scott Kamenicki, coming off cervical disc surgery last winter. He was the road roommate in college of tonight's other pitcher for the California Angels. That would be Mr. Jim Abbott. Checking the defense behind Kamenicki tonight, it'll be Charlie Hayes at 3rd, Randy Velarde at short, Pat Kelly at 2nd, and 6-time Gold Glove winner Don Mattingly at 1st. Mel Hall, Roberto Kelly, and Jesse Barfield, a great arm and right. Jim Leyritz is a catcher.
And Luis Polonia is ready to go, and immediately the 3rd baseman Charlie Hayes moves in as Polonia, always a threat to lay one down, gets Hayes' attention, and I mean, he's challenging him to hit the ball down the 3rd baseline. Hayes moved in another couple of steps on the pitch, and you see the strong start. Look where Hayes is, saying, put one down my throat if you can.
Well, Louis will take a shot the other way as well, but that's the advantage of being able to bunch. You get that 3rd baseman in, it opens up some holes for you.
Polonia's done an outstanding job in the leadoff spot. He's kept his batting average up, and that, of course, has meant his on-base percentage has been good, better than average. The major league average for leadoff people, he's above that by about 10 points coming into tonight's game. That one bounces away from him. And the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike.
One thing Louis has done a little better job of the last 2 years is getting some base on balls. One year he went 175 consecutive at bats without walking. Also doesn't strike out much, only 5 times all year.
362 on base percentage is not going to be hurt by that, as Kamenicki, who had given up 9 walks in the previous 19 2/3 innings, starts the ball game out the last way a pitcher wants to do it, except maybe for the leadoff homer. He walks the leadoff batter.
Well, of the 38 games the California Angels have played, 11 times they've had 1 walk or none. They're a very aggressive hitting team, but if Kamenicki is going to issue the free passes, the Angels will take it.
And here is Von Hayes playing in right field with power, batting in the 2nd spot in the lineup. The Yankee infield will play for 2. Polonia's a threat at first base. He's stolen 4 out of 8 for Luis Polonia. Kamenicki puts one in on the outside corner. It has been a magnificent day in the New York City metropolitan area, and you could not ask for a nicer night for baseball than what we have here at Yankee Stadium. Clear, sunny skies all day today, and continuing here tonight, a very light breeze blowing from right to left here at the stadium tonight. And Kamenicki will hold Luis Polonia.
Louis had 48 steals to finish 4th last year in the American League. The Angels haven't done an awful lot of running in the early going this year. Bob Rogers, a very aggressive manager, but he doesn't have a lot of speed in this team. Polonia represents one of the guys who can move.
Polonia with a pretty good lead over there against Scott Kamenicki. 0-1 count on Von Hayes. There he goes. Pitch out call. Throw down. Leyritz is high, and he does not get him. A good throw would have nailed him, but Jim Leyritz was high on that one, and he has now thrown out 3 of 9 as Luis Polonia has his 5th stolen base.
One of the problems the Yankees have with their catchers is none of the 3 really throw very well. Mike Stanley, Jim Leyritz, or Matty Noakes. I mean, they had the place sniffed out, but if you don't make the good throw, it all goes for naught.
Yeah, did everything but get him that time. So 3 out of 9 rather. Leyritz, and now Kamenicki with a runner in scoring position against Hayes. 1-1. Hayes trying to punch it the other way, fouls it off. 1-2.
Gary, the Angels got off 0-4 this year and then really went on a tear for about 3 weeks. And part of the reason, a big part of it, was Von Hayes and Hubie Brooks. You see the RBIs. Von Hayes missed 8 games with a hamstring, but all of a sudden, boom, 1 RBI last 21 games. Hubie Brooks, only 1 RBI in his last 8. So the Angels have really struggled for runs lately.
Von Hayes took an 0 for 3 in last night's game, and there were lots of 0-fers in last night's game. The New York Yankees lost a lead late in the game and then came back to win it in the 10th inning 5-4. They won the first game of this series 7-2. They have now beaten the California Angels twice, lost to them twice, and are trying to sweep this 3-game series. They can get one right here. Kamenicki fakes the throw. The shortstop moving in behind Luis Polonia.
Kamenicki should try to keep the ball away from Von Hayes here to not allow him to pull it. Let's see what kind of pitch selection he has here.
Outfield pretty much straight away. Center fielder a couple of steps towards left. Von Hayes goes right that way. Kelly moving over. Plenty of time to make the catch. Polonia's not going anywhere. Cutoff man Velarde hit. Throw back not in time with Pat Kelly covering the bag. That's why you hit the cutoff man. 1 out. Polonia still at second base.
One of the things Buck Showalter, and I guess all managers, especially when they take over a franchise, come in and they really try to stress heads-up baseball fundamentals. The Yankees right now playing much better defense than they did last year. They were 14th or 13th out of 14 teams last year. Currently 5th. But the big thing as far as Showalter is concerned is constant heads-up play, not falling asleep at the switch. Last night, Mel Hall tagged up on a long fly ball, made it to second base, and that set up the winning run in the 10th inning. He likes to see the heads-up type baseball, and he says we have to maintain focus and concentration. During their 6-game losing streak, they didn't do it.
Now the RBI chance falls to Junior Felix with 1 down, just 2 hits in his last 16 at-bats, but one of their better RBI men, in fact, one of the better in the league. He is 3rd behind McGwire and Mel Hall. As far as runs batted in are concerned, Mark McGwire leading with 36. Hall has 30. Felix has 29 on the year. And he's batting .304 with runners in scoring position. And he's got Luis Polonia on at second base with 1 out. Kamenicki checking. Velarde cuts in. Oops. And he tried to go to the hole. That time, Velarde, the shortstop, went to the bag. And as soon as Felix saw that, he tried to push the ball through the shortstop hole that had been vacated by Velarde.
Strictly a daylight type play. Velarde thought he saw the opening, but Kamenicki picked that time to come to the plate. Nothing more helpless. That feeling as an infielder when you're breaking one way and the pitcher delivers to the plate.
And credit Felix with being quick enough to see that. He saw he had the shortstop hole open, and he tried to push the ball that way. Felix is a switch hitter, .238 right-handed, .303 left-handed. 5 home runs, 4 of them have been hit left-handed. 0-2 count on him here with 1 out. There, Polonia, the fake go, had me fooled, and goes back to second base. Took a couple of steps and jumped back. So we have 2 of the top 5 RBI men in Mel Hall and Jose Felix. Here, Junior Felix. Thought he had changed his name on us during that at-bat.
Too many Felix Jose's and Jose Felixes and Junior Felixes around.
Wow. Here's the 1-2 delivery. And Kamenicki about to work himself out of a hole here.
Pretty good breaking ball from Scott. Guy who signed in 1986, had the long road to the major leagues, finally made it up last year. The bottom falls out of that slurve. That's what he calls his breaking ball. Let's see, we had Jose Uribe in San Francisco, who changed it to Gonzalez Uribe, and then Jose Gonzalez Uribe. I don't know.
You can't even say it when you know it. It's too confusing. Eubie Brooks, designated hitter. And he takes the strike as Kamenicki comes right after him. Polonia's at second, but there are now 2 down.
I know one thing. The Junior Felix and the Felix Jose are definitely on the RBI prowl. Felix Jose's got 23 RBIs in 19 games since joining the Cardinals after that hamstring injury at the start of the year. He's really carried that club.
Really. 0-1 count here. Kamenicki in the kitchen that time, getting him off the plate. Remember the great story when Jose Uribe was going through all those name changes. Every season it was, whenever he got traded, he was always the player to be named later.
Marty Erdoff, our crack statistician, tells us that Rene Gonzalez, who's in the lineup for the Angels tonight, one year when he was Baltimore, went as R.C. Gonzalez. Come on, guys, give us a break.
And athletes also love to change the pronunciations of their names. Not only they change their names, but from year to year, they'll change how they pronounce it. Yeah. As Rene.
Number 88.
Eubie Brooks, a 1-1 count, 2 down. And the breaking ball misses up high. They fake the throw to second. Pat Kelly, the second baseman, moving over. Polonia drawing a lot of attention.
This is the matchup here of the 2 cervical discs. Both of them had pretty much identical surgery last year. Kamenicki and Eubie Brooks, and both of them back and playing well. There's Pat Kelly. Let's try to keep Luis Polonia in check at second base.
2 down here. Kamenicki will do the same.
Not really a case here where Luis Polonia should think about stealing third. I mean, if he's got it in his hip pocket and can make it 100% sure, yeah, go ahead and go. But, I mean, otherwise, you get thrown out at third base with Eubie Brooks, an RBI man up. It'll be a long walk back to that dugout. In fact, Luis would probably be better off just going straight to left field at the end of the inning.
Eubie Brooks got jammed and hard by Kamenicki, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Great pitch by this 28-year-old right-hander.
Talking to Tony Kubek, and of course one of the Yankee broadcasters, he says Kamenicki will really come inside hard on right-handed batters, and he does right there. Of course, he mentioned that a week and a half ago when Kamenicki pitched in Oakland, and he didn't come inside all night. But pitching coach Mark Turner got him back in the groove.
Yankee fans wanting the strikeout. 2-2, 2 down. Randy Velarde on the slow ground ball to Don Mattingly, and Eubie Brooks is retired, and Kamenicki gets away with a leadoff walk. Yankees coming up. Averaging about 20,000 per game here at home. And for the New York Yankees, our Energizer starting lineup for them tonight will have Pat Kelly leading off at second base. Don Mattingly bats second from first. Roberto Kelly, one of the league's best hitters in center. Danny Tartable's back in action now. He's in the DH role, batting cleanup. Mel Hall, left-handed hitter in left field. You've already seen Jim Lawrence at work behind the plate. Jesse Barfield making the start. He'll be in right field. Batting eighth, Charlie Hayes, who plays at third base for the Yankees, of the shortstop batting ninth. Randy Velarde.
Probably the best 2 and 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. His teammates have supported him with 1.9 runs per game. They've scored 17 runs in his 8 starts, only 12 while he's been in there. So Jim Abbott has been a tough luck pitcher. Finished third in the Cy Young Award last year to Roger Clemens and Kevin Tapani. Looking at the defense behind him, an infield that really has struggled defensively. Gary Gaetti has made 12 errors. He's won 4 Gold Gloves, really struggling defensively. DeSarcina has 7 at short. Rene Gonzalez has taken over for Bobby Rhodes at second and Lee Stevens at first. Luis Polonia, Junior Felix, and Von Hayes in the outfield, with longtime veteran minor leaguer now getting a shot in the big leagues, Ron Tingley, behind the plate doing the catching tonight for the Angels.
Had the pleasure of seeing Jim Abbott work in his last start against Boston. He lost to Roger Clemens 3-0. Clemens was just unbelievable. The rocket was on at Fenway, and Abbott went 8 innings, complete game loss, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, walked 5, and struck out 2 in that game. He's 1-3 on the road thus far this season, 2-1 against New York last year, and 4-4 lifetime against the Yankees. And the commissioner, Fay Vincent, is on hand here tonight. We hope to be talking with him during our next half inning. We are going to go down and visit him right there in the commissioner's box.
Is he saving that seat next to him for George?
That's the one. The tabloids in New York today. The meeting was held yesterday with Fay Vincent and George Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner formally asking to be allowed to come back to manage in the general manager's position, the New York Yankees, after being suspended for all the activities that took place 3 years ago now, suspended in '90 for life, but asking to be brought back. We'll talk about that with the commissioner. Leadoff batter Pat Kelly, one of the real fine young stars in baseball, and an outstanding second baseman. Drills the first pitch by Abbott, foul, strike 1.
Kelly's been a little bit miffed by the media in New York. Last year, he was kind of their darling, coming up from Double-A ball and showing a lot of hustle, but earlier this year, he had an injury. Andy Stankiewicz took over and really did a terrific job. All of a sudden, he became the media darling, and Kelly started getting the cold shoulder. He didn't like it too much.
Make him a better person for it and a better ball player.
Well, I think the thing that disturbs Pat is he keeps seeing things in the paper that he's the likely candidate to be sent down once Stankiewicz comes back on the active list. Andy out right now with a bit of a hamstring problem on the disabled list, but Kelly doesn't necessarily enjoy reading that he's going to be going back to the minor leagues.
Buck Showalter made it clear to us today Stankiewicz isn't going anywhere. That one blooped to right, shallow. First base playable in foul territory. Stevens has it. Let's check in with Gary Miller.
Gary, we take you to Cleveland, where Charles Nagy was in a crunch. 2 on in the first. Kevin Reimer with a fly that Kenny Lofton, the former University of Arizona guard, shows his horizontal leap and snuffs that. From outstanding D to bad D. The Twins with a chance to score, and Alomar's throw gets through Olerud. The error allows 2 Twins to score in the first.
5-game losing streak for Toronto, the longest in Major League Baseball going into today's play, so they need some help. Jim Abbott with 1 down and Mattingly up.
I think the Pirates just matched that today, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. Pirates lost today, and they too have now lost 5 in a row. Here is the Yankee captain. There you see the numbers for Don Mattingly thus far on the season. He continues to push all those big Yankee career numbers up in every category. Abbott gets the strike in on him. And for Don Mattingly, the question of whether or not he could come back, will he ever be that 300 hitter that everyone generally recognizes him to be, perceives him to be? Not answered yet. The bad back that troubled him last year, he says, has corrected itself, and he's been able to redo his stance.
Interesting thing about this graphic is we put it up in Oakland a week and a half ago, and Don Mattingly in the last month and a half has had 1 home run. He hit it on the pitch after we put this graphic up.
You're hoping again, aren't you? Abbott made him reach for that one, and he fouls it back, and the count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. Even Don says he does not believe he will see the power in Don Mattingly that he had in years gone by. He's become more of a spray hitter. He'll still get his home run on the inside pitch, but not what he's looking for. And that one to center, where there's lots of room in the pastures of Yankee Stadium. Felix puts it away, and that will retire Mattingly, and there are 2 down here in the first inning. And they're loving this guy, and well, they should. For a couple of days, he was the league's leading hitter. He's now number 3 coming into today's play. Roberto Kelly, Roberto Alomar, and Mike Bordick have moved ahead of him, but only by points, and it varies from day to day as to who's number 1 in the league in hitting. 344 average, 3rd best. Abbott breaks his bat. Gary Gaetti. Oh, throws it into the second row. An error on Gaetti all the way around, and a 2-base error at that.
We talked about it at the start of the telecast. Gary Gaetti has got a case of the yips defensively right now. There's no question about it. This is just a routine play. He's fighting the ball all the way. He doesn't know whether to come in, go back. He's just in between. Buck Rogers said he's not real sure of his arm, so he wants to unload in a hurry, and he just airmails. I mean, this is a guy that went 55 consecutive games last year without an error, and that's his 13th in 39 games. And Gaetti's just got a terrible case of the yips right now, and it does happen. You get in fielding slumps just like you do batting slumps.
39th error for the California Angels. Only the Cleveland Indians have made more errors in the American League than the Angels, and that's not something you want to do when you have a pitching staff that the Angels do.
Well, you just hope for Gaetti's sake he can work this out. I mean, there's been players who get that psychological block against certain things, and he's winning one right now. I mean, we were Steve Blass with the Pirates, all of a sudden couldn't find home plate. Been many a catcher, Mackie Sasser, the latest of the group, that all of a sudden gets a psychological block against throwing the ball back to the pitcher, and it really starts to weigh on you.
Danny Tartabull has the RBI opportunity now with the runner on at second base and 2 down. No score here in the bottom of the first inning. And the Bull takes the pitch outside from Abbott.
Marty Aronoff wrote a name down. Absolutely right. Steve Sachs, when he was with the Dodgers, had a terrible complex about throwing the ball from second base. He has overcome that. But, I mean, for a couple of years in Dodger Stadium, it was a real adventure.
And nobody quite knows why. It's psychological. 2-1 to Tartabull, fouled off. Danny Tartabull, Monday night he broke a 2-2 tie with his first home run here at Yankee Stadium this year. He had been on the DL 15 games. Hamstring problem, right wrist problem, came off the DL last Friday. 5 for 32 since getting back into play with the Yankees. 2-2 count on him. Abbott misses inside, and it goes full on Tartabull.
Gary, so much of fielding is rhythm. You field with your feet. You just get in the comfort zone when things are going well. But, you know, even a great pro like Gaetti, you just wonder deep down inside, is he saying, gosh, I hope they hit it somewhere else? I mean, you just don't know. I mean,
it's
a great
human.
Yeah, it really is.
You don't ever want to feel that way. Tartabull on the 3-2 will foul it off, but you can't help it. What you want now is you want to go out and take about 100 ground balls in a batting practice situation right now and make all the throws to first and then start the game all over again. But that ain't the way it works.
Great story in Los Angeles. Tommy Lasorda, the defense of the Dodgers, playing very poorly when Pedro Guerrero was playing third. I got caught. 2 outs.
Left field, deep back at the wall, looking up. It's caught on the warning track. Luis Polonia. Tartabull on the inside pitch, trying to pull it out of the yard, and the 2-base error does not result in a run. As we promised, the commissioner is going to be joining us here during this half inning. Fay Vincent is on hand here tonight in those beautiful box seats. Hey, nice seats, Commish.
Pretty good, huh?
Did you buy that seat, Commissioner?
No, I didn't buy it. You know, I said to people the title of my book would be Nobody Ever Sits in Front of Me.
I love it. Lee Stevens against Kamenicki. Hard shot to second. Nice play by Pat Kelly. Stevens is retired, 1 away. Gonzalez coming up. Commissioner, bring us up to date. George Steinbrenner and you and your meeting in the news today, where does it all stand?
Well, what was in the news was accurate. We had a meeting, and he's asked me to modify the agreement. I have said I would think about it, and I'll get back to him fairly shortly with the judgment.
What kind of a time frame we looking at for you to talk with him again, do you know?
Well, it won't be very long. I don't think it's necessary to take much longer, Gary, so I think we'll get back to him reasonably promptly.
Gonzalez up with one down and nobody on. He has a 6-game hit streak coming into tonight's play. And the breaking ball is in.
Commissioner, last year you talked about concern for the length of baseball games. It appears that they aren't getting any shorter.
No, you know, I just got the statistics today. This league's 2 hours and 54 minutes on average, and the other league 2 hours and 46. So, and they're up 4 minutes. Oh, it's a concern. I was talking to the umpires before the game and some of the people in baseball. I think it's a major issue for us, and we haven't done a very good job of addressing it.
I know you were quoted last year as saying you'd like to see maybe the umpires expand that higher strike zone. I mean, the rules allow for a higher strike the way they're written, but it seems though very few umpires are reluctant to call that pitch.
Well, I think that's right, although I think in the American League this year, at least from my experience, they do seem to be calling the higher strike. But you're right. I think it would be better to have the umpires obey the rule. The rule says the strike zone is from the midpoint between the armpits and the waist, as you know, and it should be called.
Gonzalez with a 3-1 count. Scott Kamenicki. Check swing, and no question he went around on that one. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Give you a chance to look at Gonzalez, who's having this great streak right now for these California Angels, who have lost 2 in a row now on this road trip of theirs, which has been a bit of a struggle. They've gone 500 at home and are 500 on the road now as well, 11 and 11 away from home. And he fouls it back.
It's nice to see him play well, Gary. Buck was telling me before the game that he had this young man in AAA ball and always liked him, so they're back together again. And I remember him at Baltimore. It's pretty hard to get to play behind Mr. Ripken.
Yeah, you got that right. Nobody's been able to figure out how to do that yet.
That's right.
I was looking at the Gehrig Monument today and said a record that should stand for all time, 2,130. It looks like it may not stand for all time.
Well, I think that's accurate.
3 ball, 2 strike count. Kamenicki. And he'll be on with a walk. So Kamenicki walked 1 in the first, and with 1 out, walks Gonzalez.
Commissioner, the other thing that is probably of some concern, under the tenets of the basic agreement, from what I understand, either side can open up the negotiations this winter if they choose. Do you see that happening?
Well, it's premature. I don't know. Obviously, there is major concern within baseball about some of the economic problems. Some of these clubs are in difficult straits, but it's just impossible to predict. I don't think anybody knows at this stage what will happen.
Gary Gaetti, runner at first base and 1 out. Yankees playing for 2. Kamenicki's breaking ball whipped into center field. Kelly will be up with it, and that hit hard enough so Gonzalez has to stop, and the Angels with 1 down get their first base hit, Gary Gaetti. That'll make him feel a little better after the error committed at third. 2 on, 1 out.
The other thing, it seems to be a continuing mystery, Commissioner, to those of us in the media who are sometimes left a little bit out of things, is the Seattle situation. It seems though it should be a fait accompli, but it seems to be far from that.
Well, I think you probably didn't follow the Montreal transfer, which took much longer. These things do take time. There are some complicated problems. I think people are working at them, and I'm hopeful that we'll get done at some point, at least the decision get made reasonably soon. We'll see.
Commissioner, let me put you on the spot with one. We continue to read some stories that there may be a minority group of owners who would like to move to get you out of the position and someone else in. Do you sense those kinds of feelings or rumors? Are you worried about it? It bother you when you see those stories?
Well, I see them, and I really don't think I'm in a position to worry much about them. I do the best job I can. There are 28 owners, if you will, 26 with the 2 expansion clubs. I'm not naive. I'm not going to please everyone, and there are obviously some people who are less than delighted with the job I'm doing. I think I'm doing as well as I can and trying to do a terrific job, and I have many supporters in baseball and certainly some detractors.
Tingley up, 1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out. I always like to ask you the state of the game from the commissioner's perspective.
Well, I think the game, if you will, Gary, it's the most wonderful game ever designed. The game is in terrific shape. Attendance is up a little bit. We got that new ballpark in Baltimore, which you know is state of the art and a delight. We have some major economic problems. I think, like every business, there's good news and bad news. I think the economic issues for the small market clubs, those issues are very serious, and I think any right-thinking person would admit that and identify those as serious problems.
2 ball, 1 strike count on Tingley. 2 on, no score. 1 away, and they're both going, and it's popped up behind the mound. Both are trying to get back. Caminiti to second, and they get the double play. Gonzalez could not get back in time as they were both running on the pitch, and it ends up being a double play. Gonzalez taken out.
Well, second base umpire Rick Reed called the infield fly rule once Caminiti got under it, but under the tenets of the infield fly rule, you can advance at your own risk, and you see Gonzalez trying to get back, and Caminiti gets him. Good throw back to second base. Good help from whoever called the play because Caminiti had his back turned.
Commissioner, we're going to take between innings here to have a chance to chat with you a little longer on some of these matters. As far as the state of the game is concerned in these small markets, how much of this is going to hinge on a new radio TV contract, TV in particular, and some revenue sharing? Has the day come when that's going to happen in baseball?
Well, as you know, there is a substantial amount of revenue sharing in baseball already. I think the television contract's going to be important to baseball, but I don't think there's any one solution. I think there's going to have to be a new structure with the Players Association that gives baseball some stability, keeps us from having war every 4 years, and permits the owners and the players to know that each is going to do reasonably well economically.
Commissioner, what is the rough figure? How much of total income goes to the players right now on a percentage per team?
Well, I think it's somewhat close to 40%, slightly under 40%, to which, of course, you have to add money spent on the minor leagues. So I think that the revenue participation proposal that was made last time made some sense, and I would think it may be advanced again this time.
How does a salary cap, much like the NBA, sound? Does anybody propose that? Is it viable?
Yeah, it was proposed last time, and look, I think it makes sense. There has to be a system that protects the small market clubs, and that will do it. Otherwise, we're going to have the small market clubs unable to compete. That will affect attendance, and when they come to the large markets, the large market fans are going to be disappointed in the quality of play.
Well, you talked about the minor league systems. I know at one point last season I read some stories seemed to indicate maybe the minor league systems are going to have to be dramatically cut back as a way of saving monies. Is that still a possibility?
Well, we have an agreement with the minor league operators, as you know. The investment by a big league club in player development is $7 or $8 million, most of which is in minor league operations. It's an awful lot of money, and I think over the long term, that amount of money's got to be reduced.
Commissioner, we really appreciate you taking time. I'm going to let you go back and watch the game. Thanks for joining us.
Well, nice to be with you both. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fay.
Commissioner Fay Vincent watching the game here at Yankee Stadium tonight.
We put him on the grill. There were no fluff questions.
He is never anyone who will back off
No, he's terrific.
questions. He may float a little answer, as all executive people have to at one time or other, but he'll never back off. Abbott's pitch is grounded by Hall down to first base. Lee Stevens is there, takes it to the bag. You folks want to keep that on your VCR. That may be the first baseball game in network television history where there was not a commercial between innings. I hate to think what's coming. We're now backlogged, what, 30 spots?
Yeah, and a story from Tommy Lasorda from the first inning. Like an idiot, I tried to tell with 2 outs and 3 and 2 on the hitter. We'll wait till a little more judicious time to tell that, because it takes a few minutes to tell it.
We haven't forgotten, however. Here's Jim Leyritz with 1 down and nobody on. The double play taking the California Angels out of that inning with the runners going, and Gonzalez couldn't get back to second as Tingley caught the pop-up, as pitcher, rather, Caminiti caught the pop-up and got the out at second in that inning. So both teams with a little defensive help. 0-1 count, 1 away. Abbott working to Liritz. Liritz 2 for 8 lifetime against Jim Abbott. One of those 2 hits a home run off this left-hander.
Well, I'll try to tell it quickly. The Dodgers were really struggling defensively, and Lasorda called a clubhouse meeting. Pedro Guerrero was playing in third. Steve Sachs, we mentioned, had those throwing problems at second base. And Lasorda says, you guys have got to play with confidence. You got to have more confidence. And Pedro was sitting over there with his head down, and Lasorda looked at him and said, Pedro, what's wrong? He says, Skeep, I think I know want the ball hit to me. And he said, no, Pedro, you got to have more confidence. He says, say something else. He says, I don't want to hit the sacks either.
And 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that'll be fouled off. I can hear Pete saying that, too.
Pedro had one of the great quotes in baseball history about being misquoted. He said, sometimes they write what I say and not what I mean.
That's probably the all-time best answer to the I've been misquoted response. No score here in the second inning. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, the commissioner, about 20,000 others. I was talking to Dave before the game about that. New bat picked up by Liritz as he steps back in. A little disappointing early on here for the Yankees as far as the attendance is concerned. 1-2 delivery by Abbott. He got under that one to left field. Luis Polonia moving over in foul territory. Puts it away, 2 down. Gary?
Gary, there is something in the air this evening, starting in Fenway. First batter of the second, Pete O'Brien curls it inside the foul pole off Clemens. Ties the game at 1 as they go to the third. John Olerud's error had allowed the Twins to take a 2-0 lead, but he ties it up with this 2-run shot off Scott Erickson, his 3rd of the season. In Atlanta, the Cardinals' Rail Cormier put Dave Justice aboard, and then Brian Hunter unloads with his 4th of the season. Braves up 2-0 on St. Louis.
Thank you, Gary. And they, of course, are all chasing Mark McGwire. 17 home runs to lead the majors. Here is Jesse Barfield, 2 down, nobody on, no score. Barfield, a couple of hits in his last 16 at-bats. You see that average. It has been a long month for him, trying to get things going again here against the left-hander. He's 5 for 27 off the lefties this year, so Showalter wants him in against left-handers. Try and get that average up. 1-1 by Abbott. Missed a no, caught the inside.
Paul Molitor said really the difference in Abbott last year was learning to throw inside effectively. Jimmy always has been able to keep the ball down and away, but coming inside effectively, like that pitch to Barfield there, Paul Molitor said that's what really made Abbott a big winner.
Abbott is 9th in earned run average coming into this game. He finished 4th in the league last year in ERA at 2.89. 18-game winner, 18-11. This season, 2 wins and 5 losses, but as Dave said, they just have not been able to get the offense going, especially when Abbott has been on the mound. They don't score, he doesn't win. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jesse Barfield. And he comes inside again, and it's full. The Yankees attendance last year, the Yankees were under 2 million. First time since 1984 that they hadn't drawn 2 million. They're averaging under 20,000, and granted it is very early in the year. Fisted that one to second base. Gonzalez will make a quick throw, and that'll take care of Barfield and the Yankees. As they do not convert, we've completed 2 here at Yankee Stadium. Yankees and Angels, no straight shot. That facade up on top of the stadium. Kamenicki against DiSarcina. Gary DiSarcina batting in the number 9 spot with Polonia and Hayes to follow. See the shortstop's numbers on the season. 2 for his last 16. The road trip has been tough on all the California Angels. When they redid the stadium here, they kept in the outfield atop all those billboards and scoreboards where the flags are, that old facade, which was one of a kind. There's nothing like it anywhere else. There are portals you can see through. It's almost like the porch of a house, and it is unique to Yankee Stadium, and they were very wise to maintain that look right there when Yankee Stadium was reconstructed. And it really looks great as you look out from the seats on that outfield viewpoint. 1-2 delivery, great breaking ball. Wow. Kamenicki really bent that one. Lee Sarcina's a strikeout victim.
Boy, Kamenicki a lot sharper than we saw him a week and a half ago. Great looking swerve. That's what he calls his breaking ball, or slurve. Right on the black. He's riding the fastball inside. He is pitching just the way a good pitcher does. In and down and away. You do that, not too many guys are going to be hitting the baseball hard.
Lee Sarcina striking out for the 12th time on the year. Is the first out. Luis Polonia fouls it off. He walked his first time up. Friday night here on ESPN, you'll have our ESPN Major League doubleheader starting at 7:30 Eastern. The Oakland A's coming east to take on the Boston Red Sox, followed at 10:30 by the New York Mets, who remain on the West Coast, taking on San Francisco. Friday night doubleheader. Randy Velarde and Luis Polonia retired on the throw to Mattingly, 2 down.
Velarde played third base last night, ended up with a game-winning hit. He's been moving around the infield. Mike Gallego, he's back from the DL, but struggling a little bit offensively, so Buck Showalter decided to stay with a hot bat tonight and give Gallego a night off.
And with 2 down and nobody on, here is Vaughn Hayes. There's a righty on the mound. Otherwise, he might not be at the plate. And the pitch outside, ball 1.
Yeah, I was talking to Buck Rogers about that. He had Steve Fry pitching in the 8th inning last night, and Matty Noakes, the Yankee catcher, had no hits against the left-hander this year and promptly hit one into the seats to tie the game. So sometimes those stats can backfire on you. All Rogers wanted was Fry to get out the left-handed hitting Noakes, and then he was going to come with Brian Harvey to slam the door, but Noakes went in the seats.
Never got there. He got thrown out of the game last night. Shame on him. Center field. Kelly backing up on it. He'll put it away, and these two pitchers are off and flying right now. As Scott Kamenicki retires the side in order, taking out the last 4 he has faced. Still no score from New York. American League West, Oakland, Chicago, Minnesota, Texas, California, separated by 3.5 games. California Angels right now playing .500 baseball, 3.5 out. So that West is wild again this year. Seattle and Kansas City don't want to fall too far behind the rest of that group.
Twins on a roll, 9 of 10. They have moved into the hunt.
Abbott ready to go, and Hayes, the third baseman, stands in. Charlie Hayes missed his first ball game last night. The average has dipped from over the 300 mark. Buck Showalter just wanted to give him a rest, let him regroup. Only 3 hits in his last 29 at-bats. Towering pop-up. Not a lot of room outside of first. Stevens over will reach, but to no avail.
"35-year-old skipper turns 36 this Saturday." I know that because my partner researched that in his press guide before the game tonight.
That's because everybody was wishing him happy birthday before the game at the clubhouse, and I was trying to figure out when his birthday was. He said, "Don't talk about it."
One great thing about being young is you have young children too, and his daughter Allie, 5 years old, was out at the stadium on Sunday when he had that little tete-a-tete with Tony La Russa, and she got in the car after the game. She said, "Daddy, did you lose your temperature?" And he said, "Yeah, I did. I won't let it happen again." And she says, "Well, that's good, because it kind of embarrassed me."
I love it. Polonia coming hard. Di Sarcina gets out of the way, and Luis Polonia retires Charlie Hayes. Gary,
just in case you don't remember, on this date back in 1925, the Indians beat the Yankees with 6 in the bottom of the 9th. Tris Speaker scored the winning run from first base on a single. He flew home and gave the Indians the win on this date.
And I bet he tore the catcher up when he scored the run, too. 1 down, and here is Velarde. And Abbott staying inside on everybody, and it's fouled off. Randy Velarde, 3 for 13 lifetime against Jim Abbott. Those are his numbers thus far on the season. They give Velarde out of the middle in the infield. Abbott stays inside with Mrs. down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Abbott this season, left-handers hitting .229 off him, right-handers .247. He's given up 3 home runs, all to right-handers. 1-1. of the great successes for him, the reason he can pitch against both right and left-handers, he can come inside both ways. That'll keep you honest. Lifetimes, lefties have had the better of it average-wise.
See that Steve Avery of the Atlanta Braves, left-handers hitting him at a .419 clip in the early going. Very unusual. He's got great stuff.
One thing you need to look at sometimes on those numbers in particular, have they faced many batters? Have there been many at-bats from that particular side? Sometimes they've gone 3 for 6.
Yeah, the other thing is that most times when a left-hander stands in against those guys, it's usually the best hitter in the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, the Tony Gwynns of the world and people like that. Dave Magadins, they hit left-handed. Will Clark, so number's going to be a little bit inflated. Most of the time they platoon.
Abbott here with a 2-2 count, and Velarde again on the inside pitch pops it up. Stevens first wants it and will put it away, and there are 2 down here in the third. These are 2 roommates pitching tonight, Scott Kamenicki and Jim Abbott, University of Michigan. They were there together. There's the picture of the '86 Wolverines. They are both in that picture. Abbott, left and top, and seated is Kamenicki, who was a senior. Abbott was a freshman.
Indeed, and also during his tenure at the University of Michigan, Kamenicki played with Chris Sabo, Barry Larkin, Al Morris, 3/4 of the Cincinnati infield.
How about the fact these 2 were roommates? On the road, Abbott was roomed with Kamenicki.
That'll get the job done right there. Well, back in Ann Arbor tonight, they ought to be watching, huh?
Yeah. And mighty proud. Wanted, trying for the base hit. Couldn't be any easier for Stevens. And Kelly is retired, and Abbott sets the Yankees down in order again. He now has retired the last 7 Yankees to face him.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by the Michelob family of beers, because some days are better than others. And by Subway, sandwiches and salads for today's healthy lifestyles.
Felix leading it off, ground ball to short. Randy Velarde gets it there in 1 pitch, and Scott Kamenicki gets Junior Felix, who he struck out his first time up. We're in the 4th inning now. Kamenicki has walked 2, struck out 2, and Jim Abbott has set down the last 7 that he's faced. You know, these 2 combined for a no-hitter while they were pitching in college. That 1 year they were together against Grand Valley State. Abbott and Kamenicki combined on a no-hitter, and here they are facing one another tonight. Kamenicki ended up 21-6 with the Wolverines, a .375 earned run average. And Abbott, on the year they were together, was 6-2 with a .411 his freshman year. So a couple of good friends going against one another here tonight. Outside corner is caught for the strike against Eubie Brooks.
Boy, both pitchers really impressive in the early going. Both hitting great spots, very fluid deliveries. Kamenicki coming in and out. Great breaking ball, and Abbott has one of the most fluid deliveries you ever want to see.
I want to know how Marty Aronoff, our erstwhile know-all, tell-all, see-all statistician, found out they pitched that no-hitter together. How'd you do that?
He talked to Karnak.
Is that what he did? Yeah. Karnak has a couple left before his final day on Friday. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Eubie Brooks grounded out his first time up. California's left 2, 1 in scoring position. Yankees left 1 in scoring position. That was in the 1st inning.
Probably because Marty's covered the College World Series in the past. Look at him smiling. I got it.
He knows all things.
That's very true.
Here's the 2-2. Oh, look out. He almost wiped out the bat boy. Kamenicki strikes him out, and the bat came all the way back on the fly against that padded facade. You'll be taking a look, but it was the bat boy he almost cleaned out.
Well, the axiom in baseball is always keep your eye on the ball. In this case, keep your eye on the bat. And quick work by the bat boy. He just escaped that one.
Lee Stevens had moved out of the way. Eubie's going to keep his helmet on just in case anyone wants to retaliate. 3 strikeouts for Kamenicki. And quickly, there are 2 down here in the 4th inning. Stevens grounded out his first time up.
Rodney Dangerfield would say tough crowd, tough crowd.
It's about the first time you've had a 2-0 count in this game by either pitcher. Comes here to Lee Stevens. Stevens played last night, 2 for 3. He's had so few at-bats, his average went up 19 points last night. He'll do it in a hurry. Yankee Stadium, ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell. Great to have you with us on a magnificent baseball night here in New York. No score in the 4th. We hope the weather and all else is as fine with you as it is here for this one. 2-1 delivery. Right back to him. Kamenicki. Mattingly gets to the bag and yet another 1-2-3 inning. So Kamenicki, like Abbott, has now retired the last 7 batters he's faced. And from Yankee Stadium, no score. Buck Showalter, we had a chance to talk with the Yankee skipper before tonight's game about all the stories about George Steinbrenner returning to the front office of the Yankees. What do you think, Buck?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. You know, it's certainly not something that's going to bother me. I don't, you know, Mr. Steinbrenner has the same things in mind for the Yankees that I do. Every day he wakes up, he wants to make us as good a club as he possibly can, and he's got one thing in mind, that's winning.
And the man who will decide whether he comes back or not is Commissioner Fay Vincent. As we said, they met yesterday and talked. No decisions made, no promises. Said he would think about it and get back to George Steinbrenner.
That seat's still open. Is he waiting for George? I mean, it's still open.
Nobody there. George is in town. Don Mattingly will lead it off for the Yankees. Big, huge numbers versus the California Angels for Mattingly. He's 8 for 20 with 1 home run off Abbott lifetime, and Abbott gets the strike. George Steinbrenner bought this team with his group of partners in '73, so it's 19 years now that Steinbrenner's been involved. 13 managers later, and that's not counting Martin 5 times, Lemon twice, and Michael twice. It's 13 different managers in 19 years.
And by contrast, we often talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers in 39 years have had 2.
I didn't even count the GMs who've come and gone.
Or the traveling secretaries.
Or the traveling secretaries or PR people.
Pitching coaches.
The 1-1 to Mattingly. And again, as he did the first time, he hits at the center. There's just too much room to get it out of here as Felix backed up and hauls it in. Mattingly retired. 0 for 2 and a couple of fly balls to center field. 1 away here in the 4th inning. Yankees have won under Steinbrenner in '77 and '78, repeat winners for the World Series. They've won pennants in those 2 years and in '76 and '81. But of late, it's been towards the bottom for the Yankees. In both the standings and the record that kept getting worse and worse for 5 consecutive years. And then finally last year they won 4 more games than they had won the year before. This year off to a very fine start, 21 and 17. Foul back again by Kelly. 0-2. This Sunday night on ESPN, it'll be John Miller, Joe Morgan, and you'll see Cecil Fielder, the Detroit Tigers, Kirby Puckett, and the world champion Minnesota Twins. 8 o'clock, Twins and Tigers from Detroit's Tiger Stadium. The 0-2 to short. DeSarcina over to Stevens. 2 down.
I don't know if you folks had a chance to see our open tonight, but Gary and I walked out in the monument area and did an opening from out there. If you ever come to Yankee Stadium, you got to take a tour of the monuments and plaques out in center field. It is baseball history. Unbelievable.
You really do feel like you're in a shrine, don't you?
3 monuments, 18 plaques, including 2 for 2 different popes that spoke here.
A beautiful garden surrounding it out there. Tours are now given and you actually pay, but don't react too strongly. The money goes to the Yankee Foundation when you visit there, and you have to called to get on a tour. It's not readily available, unfortunately. 1-0 delivery fouled off, and the money raised from the admission monies paid to go into the monument in center field in that area go to the New York City youth for youth programs, including baseball programs.
I think the Yankees have done a terrific job. The only one I'm wondering why maybe they don't have a plaque up yet is Ron Guidry. I mean, he has some sensational years here.
The Bull fouls it back off Abbott. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Names like Rizzuto and DiMaggio and Mantle and Dickey and Berra, Allie Reynolds, Lefty Gomez, Casey Stengel, Miller Huggins, Joe McCarthy, just some of them.
Struck him out. Danny Tarnable retired, and the Yankees have not been able to find the key to Jim Abbott. He set the side down in order the last 3 innings. Well, the line tells you the story. I mean, folks, not much offense. Gary Gaetti's had a single in the 2nd inning. That has been it. Rene Gonzalez, Gaetti, and Tingley due up here in the 5th inning against Scott Kamenicki, making his 4th start, and it's down low, 1-1. He's doing it again this year. 7 for 15 this year against the Yankees for Gonzalez. Heads up in the seats. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Looks like somebody with pretty good upper body strength coming into the year. He had 6 major league home runs and over 800 plate appearances. This year, 5 home runs and 86 plate appearances. Another guy who's bulked up.
Got it from reaching out for those tips when he was an usher at Dodger Stadium in college. Bulked up those hand muscles.
Kamenicki, he and Abbott are putting on a show right now. 4 strikeouts, 1 down. Gary Miller.
Budweiser takes you to Toronto. It was a 2-all game. Greg Gagne facing Todd Stottlemyre on his 27th birthday. Some present. His 2nd home run of the year, a 2-run shot. They've added another RBI, and they're still at it in the 4th inning as they have won 9 out of 10 coming in. Gary?
Daddy Mel is not going to like that, and he's probably watching the game on the West Coast right now, waiting for the New York Mets. Well, they played this afternoon, I guess. Mel's son, 2 of them pitching.
That's tonight.
Is it tonight?
Just underway. Hurst, I'm sorry, it is Wally Whitehurst against Craig Lefferts. No score in the, first inning? No,
Gary Gaetti.
They haven't started yet.
They haven't started yet. They did. They got a weird start time, I'll tell you that. So Mel's watching. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out. No score. Kamenicki comes inside on him again, and Gaetti fouls it off.
Probably talking to Bobby Doty over in the visiting clubhouse of the Padres saying, what do you mean? Get this ESPN game off. I want to see Toronto.
There's a way to find it. He will. Here's the 1-2 delivery to him, and chopped foul. That hit him in the batter's box.
Oftentimes talk about when pitching is in vogue, the first pitch strike is so important. Well, just to illustrate that tonight, Scott Kamenicki, 12 out of 16 batters he's faced throwing a first pitch strike, and Jim Abbott, 11 out of 13. Get ahead, and the rest gets a lot easier.
Well, the Yankees love to see Kamenicki come along, and the Angels, of course, have got to have the outing from Abbott, as they are going to rely on their pitching again this year. They were 2nd in ERA in the league last year, 3.69, so their big starters need to come through again. Their hitting is somewhat suspect, and right now both these guys, these former roommates, putting on a show. Breaking ball to left field. If it had been a fastball, he might have got it out of here, but Hall's going to settle into that one, and Gaetti's retired on the off-speed fly ball. 2 down.
Gary might have jammed himself. He saw that hanging curve, tried to jump on it, and I think the ball got in on him. This is the kind you leave your feet to hit. It's going to be a breaking ball right up in the strike zone, and Gaetti kind of jumps at it and just hit it more down towards the trademark than he wanted to.
Pitch misses to Tingley. 2 down, nobody on here in the 5th. Tingley playing in his 10th game, getting some at-bats of late. Down to Charlie Hayes. Mamma mia, we are seeing a pitching duel here. California retired in order. 3 innings in a row. That has happened to them. Getting ready to go to work. He has not walked anybody, has struck out 1.
He just has such a fluid delivery. You can see it right here. No herky-jerky, just fluid all the way through. If you're scouting a young pitcher, you love to see that. A lot less chance for an arm injury with that type of a delivery than the herky-jerky type.
The base runner in the first inning that reached against him was Roberto Kelly.
Well, a lot of times it's not how you pitch, but when you pitch. Day before, Angels averaging 6.5 runs a game. The day after, 4.3. The day he's pitched in his 8 starts, 1.9 runs.
And as they say, he could sue for non-support, and it would be a no-brainer.
I mean, even a lawyer like you could win that case.
I wouldn't defend him. I'd just tell him to no-low. Here is Mel Hall. Mel's on a streak right now. He's been hitting the ball well. 2 for 4 last night. 7-game hit streak. 11 for 28 during the streak. Coming into this game to short. Lee Sarcina. Look out. Stevens. Oh, Pickett. Oh, baby. He came up with that one out of the dirt, out of nowhere. Nice pick.
Come on, Lee, smile. We know you had it all the way, but smile. I mean, those kind of throws that they grab way out there like this, those are the tough ones. Those little short hops aren't as tough, but that one hit about 5 feet out in front of him, and he made a terrific play there.
And as any major leaguer would do, he made no comment, no smile.
Had it all the way.
No movement. Had it all the way.
Meanwhile, inside he's gone.
Larrett's flied out to left field his first time up. And he takes the strike in the outside corner.
Gary Gaetti's been the key guy in this game. He has the only hit, and he's allowed the only base runner for the Yankees with his error.
Larrett's doing the catching with his 6 for 16 against left-handers. Fouls that one off, and he's behind on the count, 0-2.
The other thing about that nice, easy motion of Abbott's is the hitters just aren't ready for that inside fastball. They just can't get around it. They see this nice, fluid delivery, and they're kind of relaxed at the plate. By the time they pull the trigger, they're either late or not there at all.
Boy, Abbott's getting it in right off the fists again. Lee Sarcina gets it, and there are 2 down. Gary.
Barry Budweiser takes you to Toronto, where on his 27th birthday, Todd Stottlemyre is being lit up like a cake. That's Shane Mack knocking in Jeff Rabelais. A 2-run homer by Gagne and in. They score 4 in the 4th, and then it's Minnesota 6-2. Back to you.
And thank you. Minnesota getting hot or what? They won 4 in a row now. 9 out of their last 10. A game and a half out behind Oakland.
Of course, we still aren't quite as streaky as we were last year in Major League Baseball. Last year, they set an all-time record. There were 19 times that teams had 7-game losing streaks or longer. And nobody was immune. Even the Pittsburgh Pirates had an 8-game slide. Texas, after they had that 14-game winning streak, lost 10 out of 11. So last year was really the year of the streak. Starting to become that way now. Toronto on their way to their 6th straight defeat, and Minnesota on fire.
It's going to be another year where Toronto just cannot put together the big wins and the couple of streaks in the year that would let them take that division and move away from everybody.
Quietly, ever so quietly, the menace of the East, the dreaded Red Sox, are starting to be seen in the standings, despite all their offensive woes.
They're 4.5 out. Baltimore, of course, the great story. Here you got the 2 top teams in the Eastern Division, Baltimore and Toronto. Baltimore's lost 3 in a row, and Toronto's lost 5 in a row. Well, that helps even things up in a hurry. Jesse Barfield had grounded out his first time up, batting just 135. 2 down, nobody on the 1-2. He almost. They check it first. No. What a line last night. Merrill threw out Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers said tonight before the game, I went out and told him, even the people in the Euchre seats could have called that one right. Buck, you're gone.
Is Buck still on the bench?
He's still on the bench. Here's the 2-2 by Abbott. Gonzalez. And they are making it look easy. Abbott's now retired 13 in a row. Kamenicki's retired 10 in a row. No score at the stadium. Pitchers duel, Scott Kamenicki and Abbott going at it. That tells you the story. Your line over 5. And everybody's first ball hitting because they're throwing strikes. DeSarcina flies out to Barfield in right field. 1 away in the 6th inning.
Well, Jim Abbott's certainly doing everything he possibly can to keep his team in there at the end of the inning. He's in, fired up. Come on, guys, get me some runs. I wonder how many bats he's broken tonight. I mean, he has been in some severe kitchens with the Yankee hitters. I mean, the ground balls they are hitting are so weak. I bet he has broken at least 6 bats tonight.
Tell how well he's pitching. The ground balls are barely getting to the infielders. Luis Polonia does square. Hayes, as he's done in the other 2 at-bats, already had moved way in. A walk and a ground ball out by Luis Polonia. Batting .294 on the season. There you see Hayes at third base. Not going to give him any room. And he goes that way, and he's going to have himself a base hit. Nell Hall will get it back in, and the speedster is on for the 2nd time. This time with 1 out in the 6th inning. The 2nd hit, both singles, off Kamenicki. Lots of baseball is going to be coming up as Memorial Day will be here on Monday. You'll see 3 on ESPN. The Dodgers in St. Louis started out at 4. Cincinnati will take on the New York Mets at 7:30. Then Pittsburgh and San Diego from San Diego at 10:30. All on Monday, all on ESPN. Scott Kamenicki against Von Hayes.
Buck Rogers, the type of manager that doesn't like to stay stationary. He wants to get something going. We'll see. Polonia take off, maybe play a little hit and run. Only time the Angels had anybody on base earlier, tried to hit and run with Ron Tingley, but he got jammed severely, hit a little pop-up to the pitcher. It resulted in a double play.
Buck Rogers up front, leading, passing along the signs. California Angels, 8th in stolen bases in the league. Polonia will be taken back.
The Angels finished 13th in runs a year ago, and they finished 13th in home runs and lost 40% of their homers with Winfield and Joyner leading. So going into the season, Rogers knew that he said, we're going to have a dirt dog offense. We're really going to have to scratch and claw, move runners to get runs.
Started out like a house of fire. They scored a lot of runs, but they've gone into a real drought here on this road trip. California, 2 numbers they've got to be concerned with. Even though they are 8th as a team in batting average, they've fallen to 10th in runs now. They are 9th in slugging and 11th in on-base percentage. Those 2 numbers, slugging and on-base percentage, if you want to know where a team stands generally, you take a look at those 2 and it'll tell you. If you're 9 and 10 in those departments, you're probably 9 and 10 in the league, in the standings. Pitch out, not going, and almost not a pitch out. Kamenicki looked back as he tripped delivering it. Lirich was moving out and had to come back in to get it.
4 teams right off the bat that are doing very well in on-base and slugging percentage. Just to back up what you're saying here, the Baltimore Orioles, the Oakland A's in the American League, the Pirates and Mets in the National League. Mets aren't really hitting a lick, but their on-base percentage is terrific. And once those sluggers get going over there, with all the walks they're getting, they're going to score some big-time runs.
Yep. Well, those numbers are pretty consistent as the season rolls along to tell you how well a team's playing. Baltimore's 1 in slugging, 2 in on base. Oakland 7th in slugging, but 1st in on base percentage. They're getting a lot of people on, so they're able to generate runs by getting people on, moving them around. Kind of surprising they'd be 7th in slugging even with McGuire.
And Jose, yeah.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike on Von Hayes. Runner not going. Kelly, Velarde, Mattingly. See you later. Double play, and it's still zip-zip. Season they're in right now. 12 games, 14 days. They took Seattle 2-0, Oakland 2-1. They've won the first 2 games against California and then have a 4-game set coming up against Milwaukee. So after going 1-6 on a road trip, they come back home and have turned that right around. They are 6-1 on this homestand. That's what you want to do. Buck Showalter's team right now is getting it done. What a matchup going here. Yankees still trying to find the key to Jim Abbott. One man on. Roberto Kelly reached on an error in the first inning. That has been it. One strikeout, no walks by Abbott. Oh, right into the glove of Gaetti. Make-up time.
Gary didn't have time to think about that one. Those are the best kind. Maybe that'll get him out of his fielding slump. I mean, just reaction, save your life type thing. Gaetti playing even with the bag because Charlie Hayes will drop down an occasional bunt. And he just flat blisters this ball, and Gaetti with a great reaction play. I mean, whoa, the ball is scorched. So fast that a camera couldn't even catch it.
That's why it is called the hot corner. Gary Gaetti. And one pitch and one out. That's the way this game's going. Randy Velarde down low for a ball. Velarde at 231 on the season. He popped out his first time up. He went 1-1.
Well, that just goes to prove that the best Italian food still is in New York. 360 at home, 136 on the road.
In the Village?
Didn't that prove that?
Yes,
Oh.
absolutely. If this game keeps going the way it is, I'm going to enjoy some of that. Here's the 1-1 by Abbott. Center field, deep, back, Felix, warning track, wall, makes the catch! 408 feet away, Junior Felix.
All of a sudden, the New York Yankees, who were getting their bats broken, have hit 2 rockets. Randy Velarde went over the center field fence in a game we did a year ago against Nolan Ryan. He has surprising power straight away. He really hammers. Abbott getting the fastball out over the plate. Great jump by Felix. Junior gets there, puts the hand out to brace himself against the wall, and a terrific play. Nice call, by the way, Bud.
Ooh, Randy Velarde can't hit a ball any harder than that. Maybe never has. Here's Pat Kelly 0 for 2.
Yeah, remember when Don Larson had the perfect game in '56? Mickey Mantle made a long running catch to save that day.
2 down, nobody on, and that's down the right field line towards the stands and into them. Juan Hayes over with no room. 2-strike count.
Bad thing about the American League, at least in the National League, a pitcher who's struggling to get runs like Abbott could at least hit for himself. Abbott, despite the fact he only has one hand, had a triple in spring training a year ago against Rick Russell.
He is an amazing athlete, Jim Abbott. The 0-2 delivery, swung and fouled it off. We had the game here on ESPN, Abbott and Roger Clemens last Friday, and mentioned during that broadcast what I think is one of the wonderful ironies of this game. This man who came into the league with only one question about him, could he field his position, last year had more chances than any other pitcher in the American League and made only 2 errors, both throwing errors.
Also had a number of votes for the Gold Glove.
So those questions have long since been answered and are gone. Look at the numbers. Look at the zeros. Look at the strikes. 0-2 is bounced. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down.
Jim Abbott, an all-state quarterback in high school and football, read a note that he never had one fumble snap in his entire high school career.
Nice stories about a couple of other young men who are trying to follow in Jim Abbott's footsteps with the same advantage. Line into left field. The Yankees have a hit. Pat Kelly with 2 down in the 6th inning gets the first hit off Jim Abbott.
Well, for 5 innings, he was just unhittable, but he's been getting the ball in the middle of the plate this inning. He's had 3 balls hit well. And finally, the Yankees find a hole. But again, a slider in the middle of the plate. And DiSarcina can't handle this one. And Jim knew he made a mistake, and sometimes you get away with it. He got away with 2 in the inning, but not the 3rd time.
Well, the Yankees now will try and build a 2-out rally here. Kelly on at first base. Here's Don Mattingly. 228 on the year. Abbott up high, ball one. Mattingly's put the ball in the air twice on Abbott, the center. You see he has very good numbers lifetime, including one home run off this left-hander. Mattingly 9 for 41 against left-handers this year. And Donnie pops it foul, no play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Abbott had not allowed a base runner since 2 outs in the first inning, prior to that base hit by Pat Kelly. And got him on the pickoff. They'll call it a caught stealing since he was on his way. 1-3-6 retires him, so he still faced only 3 here in the 6th. There's still no score. 2 left on by the Angels, 1 by the Yankees. Each team has had a man in scoring position at second base. Nobody's gone any further than that in this game tonight. And Junior Felix will lead it off. 0 for 2, 2 for his last 18.
Don't ask. I don't want to answer.
And he hits the ball to center. Pretty good rise. Kelly. Oof. Almost misjudged that ball as he went up against the track. So center fielder to center fielder, and 1 away, Gary.
Gary, Budweiser takes you to Skydome, where things are getting interesting. Behind the back of Derek Bell, Kelly Gruber had just homered. Larry Young comes out to warn Scott Erickson. He's been having conversations all night long with Cito Gaston, and the bench is empty. Now, not much happened, but it has been an interesting game. 3 home runs in it. Minnesota leads 6-3 in the 5th.
Well, boys are active. Breaking ball misses down low. Ball 1 to Brooks.
5-game losing streak can make you test it.
Does that, doesn't it?
By the way, the don't ask was, I figure you're going to ask how many times the guy makes the great play lead off.
That was going to be the question. Okay. Kelly and puts the tag on and needed to as Mattingly was pulled off the bag. Brooks retired. He's 0 for 3. The great catch made by Junior Felix. Abbott right there to congratulate him after he hauled that ball in at the wall. And then he gave up the hit and shucks.
Yeah. And then he went over and said, guess what, Junior, you're leading off.
And he said, what are the chances that...
I finally figured out American League 1 in 10, because if the pitcher makes a great play, he can't lead off, so...
That's right.
That's right. Okay, no, we got that figured out. We think we have it figured out.
Here's Lee Stevens. 0 for 2 in the ball game. Could just as soon not play against New York by the looks of those numbers. Kamenicki.
#1 draft choice of the Angels a few years back, Lee Stevens, and tore up Edmonton last year. Still trying to make the adjustment at the major league level.
2-11 on the year, and Kamenicki floats one. The off-speed pitch misses outside. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Certainly got the prototype first baseman body. 6'4", lean, strong. Had a little bit of a slow bat last year. Never forget a game I saw. I think it was during the 1990 season. White Sox, Angels, 2-0, 2 on, top of the 9th. Bobby Thigpen is blowing gas, and I mean, Stevens is just barely chipping it foul, and all of a sudden Bobby decided to throw a changeup. You don't do that to a guy with a slow bat. He went straight away center field for a 3-run homer.
Perfect pitch. Kamenicki with 2 down and the 2-2, and Stevens chops it to second base. Pat Kelly over to Don Mattingly, and the sides retired in order. And he's still on a roll from Yankee Stadium in New York. 7th inning stretch. Hands to their feet, hoping to witness baseball history. The Mick hit home run number 500 and became the first switch hitter ever to reach that mark. 3 standing ovations at Yankee Stadium for their beloved hero, whose ailing legs could barely carry him home. This 20-time All-Star had to call it quits the next year, and baseball lost a great player, never replaced. One of the all-time Yankee favorites, and there are lots of Yankee favorites.
I got to see him hit number 536, his last one against Denny McLain in Detroit. That was the year McLain won 31 games, and the Tigers had clinched, and it was the last time the Mick was there, and Denny basically said, "Here it comes, pal. See if you can hit it."
Mattingly's got a base hit down the line. On Hayes over to get it. Mattingly will go into second base. Hayes has trouble picking it up. A double for Mattingly. The 9th two-bagger of the year. The pitching's been so good, Eddie Layton at the organ plays the Hallelujah Chorus.
Von Hayes went for a barehanded pickup. We talked about 1986, Kamenicki and Abbott at Michigan. 1986, Don Mattingly had 238 hits. That's an all-time Yankee record, and 53 doubles. Also a Yankee record.
The second hit, and a runner in scoring position with nobody out. The first leadoff batter to get on base for the Yankees, and only the second leadoff batter in an inning to get on in this game. And here is Roberto Kelly batting .340.
Kelly, a good man to have up. Not only the threat of the base hit, but he has an inside-out stroke to take the ball to the opposite field, try to advance Mattingly.
Inside pitch fouled off, 0-2 on it.
Sure didn't take a shot to right that time.
Once again, Abbott got back inside on him. Mostly strikes. Jim Abbott asking for a timeout here as he wanted to do a little dirt work around the pitching slab. 0-2 count. Mattingly on at second base. Kelly, who's third in the league in hits, third in average, third in runs, fouls it off again.
That was the 75th pitch for Jim Abbott. Last two seasons, you see 218 the first 75 and weakens afterwards. It was about the 65 plateau tonight that he started to get the ball in the middle of the plate. He had been unhittable about his first 65 deliveries tonight.
0-2 delivery to Roberto Kelly. Got him. He went after a ball down in the dirt. Fooled on it. And that's the second strikeout by Abbott. Gary?
Gary, Budweiser takes you to Camden Yards where the O's were down 2-1 to Bob Welch and the A's, and Brady Anderson tied it up. His 5th home run of the year, a clothesline into the bleachers. That's 2-all. Now to the Sky Dome, where it was 6-3 Twins with 2 aboard when Joe Carter connects. A 3-run jack off Scott Erickson through 6. It's all 6s.
Say goodbye to that lead. Mattingly still on at second base. One down, and Daddy Tarnable now at the plate. The numbers for Tarnable as far as getting people home are concerned. Remember, he missed 15 days on the DL. 1-0 delivery to him. Abbott inside. Ball 2. 2-0.
Got an open base. Yeah, you got an open base with Mel Hall, left-handed batter coming up. I think in this case, you can't let Tarnable beat you.
And he's 5 for 23 now against Abbott lifetime, and Abbott not giving him anything to swing at. 3 balls and no strikes.
Ron Tingley looking in, and Buck Rogers gives the 4 sign, so they will walk Tarnable now. But that was showing a lot of confidence in his young pitcher. He let Abbott take 3 shots, pounding him inside, then says, let's give him the 4 wide one, and that'll go down as an intentional walk.
Tarnable draws the intentional pass. Mattingly, of course, remains at second base, and with 1 out, sets up the opportunity for the double play. Mel Hall has grounded into a couple of them thus far this year. Abbott, who is a ground ball pitcher, try and get one right here to get himself out of this 7th inning of a scoreless game.
Up until last year, Mel Hall was the automatic out against left-handed pitching. 164 lifetime going into last year. Then he hit .309 against lefties. And you also see what he's done with men in scoring position. Not too shabby.
And he takes a big rip at Abbott's fastball, strike one.
Mel said it was just basically a matter of getting some at-bats against lefties. He went to the plate 173 times last year against Southpaws, hit .309. He said before, he said, I would only get 28, 30 at-bats a year against left-handers, and you don't see them very often. You're not going to hit them very well.
Mel Hall leads the league in doubles with 13, 10th in slugging percentage, second in runs batted in. 0-1 count, 2 on. Missed inside, 1-1.
Abbott pitching for his very life right here. The way his offense has been going tonight, the way Kamenicki's going in that great Yankee bullpen, he is facing his first real critical situation in the ballgame, and he knows he can't afford much margin for error.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 2 on. Mattingly at second, jockeying with DiSarcina, the shortstop, and Abbott steps off. First base is Tartabull. They are deep in the outfield and straight away on Mel Hall. He has 6 home runs, tied with Matt Noakes for the home run lead on the Yankees. 1-1. Outside corner, according to Drew Coble, the home plate umpire, and Hall didn't think so.
That's your picture-perfect pitch. Breaking ball. Boy, just got the edge as it went by, and Mel went, man, I hope he doesn't throw me another one like that. I'm going to be walking back to the pine.
1 ball, 2 strike count. Mattingly off second base, Tartabull first. He got him to chase it. Home plate umpire Coble rings him up. Didn't need any help. Hall wanted to stick around and talk about the second strike, but leaves.
Great pitching sequence by Abbott. He made the perfect pitch, and then he thought, well, now with 2 strikes, Mel doesn't want the bat to be on his shoulder, so he went a little further away, and you can see Mel went too far. Great pitching sequence by Jim Abbott to Mel Hall right there, but he's not out of the woods yet. He's got Jim Leyritz.
He has 3 strikeouts in the game, and 2 of them right here in this inning when he needed them against Kelly and against Hall. Now 2 down, 2 on, no score in the 7th. And the battle comes down to Leyritz, hitting .346, inside again. Boy, Abbott has settled back in, Dave, after a couple of innings there in the 5th and 6th where he started getting it up and over. Now he's back in the corners.
Yeah, he's back inside again on the right-handed batter. Gets him inside conscious, then throws the breaking ball when they're trying to get the bat out front.
Broke the bat, may fall in. Mattingly coming, he's going to score. Picked up by Felix. His throw not in time. Yankees lead 1-0.
Boy, if you're Jim Abbott, you just got to scratch your head. He made a good pitch. He elevated it just a little bit, and that allowed the hitter Leyritz to fist it over the infield. If the ball's down, it's a ground ball, but still, he busted another bat. But he's trailing in the game 1-0. Again, a hard fastball, but it was above the belt, and Leyritz cracked his bat. Felix got a great jump, but just couldn't get there.
And Abbott, this is the story of his season thus far. Inches. Felix that close to getting it. Mattingly, of course, with 2 down, was running. See Abbott, all he can do is look up. That one hit in the air to left field. Polonia. And Barfield will become the 3rd out as the Yankees will leave a couple on base. But here in the 7th, after Abbott had pitched 5 2/3 of no-hit ball, the Yankees get to him a run on a hit. Stadium, and the Yankees finally getting the run off Jim Abbott. 1 run, 2 hits, and 2 left on in that 7th inning. And now Abbott can only hope that this California team, which has struggled for runs, can try and do something here against Scott Kamenicki, who's on the money. Strike to Rene Gonzalez.
Yeah, this young man has pitched a brilliant ball game too. Not much to choose from between the two.
4 strikeouts, 2 walks, and those kind of pitches from Kamenicki.
Give Abbott credit also. Once he gave up the blue pit, sometimes pitchers would just have a tendency to cave in, but he kept his club in the ball game by getting Barfield in a very dangerous situation.
Angels have stranded only 2. They haven't left anyone on since the 2nd. And Kamenicki's trying to keep it that way. Gonzalez is the 5th strikeout victim.
Well, I think Rene, after seeing 2 curveballs, was sitting on breaking ball, and Kamenicki throws a heater. And that's got plenty of the plate, Rene.
Kamenicki putting on a show here in the start for the Yankees. 1 away here in the 8th inning, Gaetti and Tingley. Gaetti had his single in the 2nd inning, batting .232 in the year. He goes after it. Strike 1. He's just stepping out to try and slow Kamenicki down right now. Kamenicki's on one of those rolls where it's all coming very easy to him. And here's the outside corner. Strike 2.
Well, his teammates have given him the lead, and Kamenicki certainly appears to know what to do with it. 5 strikes out of 5 pitches this inning.
Kamenicki 5-5 in his career at the major league level. 28 years old, though. A lot of minor league work. 0-2 delivery. Right up the middle, a base hit. So Gaetti made the error, has recouped for it. It didn't cost his team, and he since has come back to go 2 for 3. Potential tying run on, 1 out here in the 8th.
Too many pitches in the same spot in the strike zone. He started Gaetti off with 2 fastballs in the outer half and went right back out there. So 3 pitches in the same location, and Gaetti nearly undressed him with a liner back through the middle.
We'll get a pinch hitter now for Tingley. Alvin Davis has come to the plate, and that will take Lawrence out to talk to Kamenicki about how they want to work to Davis. 1 down, and a runner on at first base. Alvin Davis, the pinch hitter, one of the outstanding hitters over the last decade. Played in Seattle. Didn't get very much press. Free agent. Signed and getting some at-bats now with the Angels.
Alvin had a terrific year in 1990, but unfortunately for him, his free agent year was 91. Really tailed off last year. Not a lot of interest, but once Wally Joyner left, that opened up a spot for him on the Angel roster.
He is 3 for 4 as a pinch hitter with that .267 overall batting average. 1 on, 1 out, and the 2-strike count on Davis. Now the College World Series coming up on ESPN. The coverage will begin on May 29, Omaha, and that great yearly World of Baseball right here on ESPN. The folks out there do such a great job in hosting that year after year. You'll see it all. The College World Series. Note the date, May 29, right here on ESPN.
Kamenicki, 8 pitches this inning, all strikes, one of them a little too fat to Gaetti.
Davis rips it towards the corner in right field. Barfield can't get it. Rounding second base, Gaetti coming to third. Barfield chasing it down. The tying run coming to the plate. No play. A double for Davis, the pinch hitter, and this game is tied at 1.
Well, Scott Kamenicki was really sailing along, but twice on 0-2 pitches threw fastballs right in the fat zone. He knows it. Alvin Davis, an excellent inside hitter, and he tried to come in, but he certainly didn't get it in far enough. And Jesse Barfield, I don't think, played this ball very well. Looked like he tried to head it off, but that's right in Alvin's hitting zone. I mean, extension. Barfield looks like he's trying to head it off, and then it hits the carom and goes a long ways away. Jesse has been bothered by a bad toe, and he looked like he had some trouble pivoting.
Davis will come out for the pinch runner, and Chad Curtis is on at second base to run for Davis. So Alvin Davis, his 6th double, his 13th run batted in, and he's now 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter. He gets his job done.
Now, over the last 3 years, Alvin Davis has had 50 home runs, all of them to right field. So he's a dead pull hitter with his power. And Kamenicki made a major mistake, but most pitchers during the course of a game aren't going to make all perfect deliveries, and he got burned.
So Kamenicki now has got to concentrate here because the potential go-ahead run is on at second base. And Gary DiSarcina will stand in against him. Has gone 0 for 2, including a strikeout. Davis running out of there now, and the pitch is taken up high. See whether or not California Angels can take advantage of it and come back here and get the lead in this game. A run on 4 hits for the Angels, run on 3 hits for the Yankees.
Chad Curtis, good speed, over 40 stolen bases at AAA last year. Perfect time to try and steal if you're going to do it. Right-handed batter up, 1 out.
Big lead for Curtis at second base. Kamenicki misses down low with it. 2 balls and no strikes.
You can get him to third, all kinds of possibilities. DiSarcina, a good bunter, pretty good contact hitter, has only struck out 3 times in his last 65 at-bats. But right now, Curtis has not shown an inclination to run.
So John Wathan, the third base coach, going through the signs for the Angels. 2-0 delivery by Kamenicki, and he's 3 balls and no strikes. Five strikeouts, 2 walks, and 4 hits off him in this game. 3 singles. The first extra base hit was the double by Davis. Big hit by Gaetti to get it started with 1 out. And he takes it and walks him. 3rd walk in the game. Now the Angels have 2 on and 1 away. Gary Miller.
Gary, it has been an explosion for the Reds at Olympic Stadium, where Nabholz had a shutout in the 7th. Mel Rojas now on in relief trying to shut off the Reds. But Barry Larkin knocks in Biff Roberts, who injures his ankle on the play, but they score 5 times in the 7th to turn it around.
Reds doing some rallying. Bill Doran slammed last night in the 9th inning, and they get 5 in the 7th tonight.
Get some of their people back here and their full lineup. They're going to be tough. Yankee bullpen scurrying. Lee Gooderman. 1 down, 2 on. And a line drive base hit by Luis Polonia to center field. Making the turn, Curtis coming to the plate. The throw not in time. And the Angels have a 2-1 lead on Luis Polonia's second hit. A single up the middle.
Well, Luis Polonia over the last 3 years has been one of the top clutch hitters in baseball. You don't really think of him in that mode, but he's number 2 only to Danny Tartabull as far as hitting in clutch situations in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. He wastes no time against Kamenicki, and Chad Curtis with a great speed beats the throw by Roberto Kelly.
DiSarcina stops at second base, and there is Luis Polonia with the RBI single to put his team on top. That's 14 runs batted in for Polonia, who's now over that 300 mark on the season. The Yankees want to draw some time as they send Jim Leyritz to the mound to talk with Kamenicki. Gooderman and John Habian need time in the bullpen. You saw them getting up. They are not ready to go. And the question right now is, how long does he want to go with Kamenicki? Kamenicki's given up a single, a double, a walk, and another single in this inning.
Gary, that's one thing I've noticed about Buck Showalter in the 2 of the 3 Yankee games I've done is sometimes he doesn't seem to get his pen up quite as early as you think. He brought Steve Farr into a game that I broadcast out in Oakland, and I don't think Farr was ready. He hung a curveball to Mark McGwire the first pitch and hit a double to the alley in left center field to win the ball game.
Kamenicki working Devon Hayes. Remember, Kamenicki has not had that many starts. It's only his 4th start. His longest outing was his first start, 7 1/3 in a loss to Minnesota, 5 1/3 against Oakland, and 7 innings on May 15 in his last outing also against Oakland. 1-0 delivery. Vaughn Hayes to first. Don Mattingly to short. Velarde the relay to Mattingly. Safe. Hayes beat it out. Mattingly trying to get back on the bag. Did, but the throw was not there in time. No run scores. DiSarcina stops at third.
Nobody turned more 3-6-3 double plays last year than Don Mattingly. He makes it as well as anybody, and it was bang, bang. Don thought they had him, and so did Kamenicki, but the first base umpire, Derwood Merrill, says no soap.
I was a little surprised there wasn't a play at the plate on that. DeSarcina stopped at third base instead of keeping on going. I didn't see whether he got a bad break off the bag at second or not. Well, let's see if it matters here. Junior Felix will try and get him home. Felix 0 for 3. Off speed by Kamenicki.
Go back now to that big out that Jim Abbott got after the blue pit by Leyritz. He kept bearing down, got Jesse Barfield on a flyout. Now that looms big. And again, if you're a professional, and Jim Abbott certainly fits the bill there, you keep going 100% no matter what your teammates are doing behind you offensively.
Now he has the lead at 2-1. Kamenicki, 0-1 delivery. Another off-speed pitch. Felix behind on the count 0-2.
Just talking again about that Yankee bullpen, it's not as though everybody down there has been overworked of late. The only guy who's really seen action 2 days in a row has been Steve Howe. So with 6 guys in the pen, really should have had somebody up just a little bit sooner, I think, especially Kamenicki coming off the neck surgery and not really in top flight shape.
No, making only his 4th start. 0-2, no, he fakes to third, looks to first, and as usual, nothing happens.
One of Buck Rogers' favorite plays has been, always will be, is the delayed steal. He does that with guys who don't have blazing speed. At one time, Von Hayes was a great base stealer, but might be a good time to try it here.
0-2 count. Breaking ball, laid it right in. Whatever it was that Felix was looking for, that wasn't it. Kamenicki has struck him out twice, but the damage is done here. A couple of runs in. Here at Yankee Stadium, the Angels coming back after falling behind 1-0 now have the 2-1 lead. Mike Fitzgerald, who got thrown out with his manager in last night's game, has come in to do the catching as Tingley's out of there, and Chad Curtis, who came in as the pinch runner and scored, has stayed in left field. Curtis is batting 8th. Fitzgerald is batting 1st. Polonia, started in left, has come out of the game. Well, we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Jim Abbott, he already has 2 complete games this season, including a complete game loss in his last outing. He has gone the distance here. 1 intentional walk, 3 strikeouts, only 1 run off him on 3 hits. And ahead on the count, 2-0, Charlie Hayes.
You know, the skipper, Buck Rogers, would like to get Abbott through the 8th and turn it over to Harvey in the 9th, but he's got Bryan throwing in the bullpen just in case.
Not much room here in a 1-run ball game with an Angel team that, as we said, has had trouble scoring. Abbott falls behind on Hayes now. 3 balls and no strikes. There's Harvey. Hayes lined out hard. The guy Eddie his last time up at third. Breaking balls in. 3-1. So Hayes turned around to question it.
Well, Charlie, if you had your pants up where the old-time players wear them, it probably would have been low. But they all wear them down now.
Can't get them any lower than that, can you?
No. George Hendrick, I think, was the first, but imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, I guess.
3-1 delivery by Abbott. And Jim Abbott comes back to take the count full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Charlie Hayes, not one to pick up the free passes in any event. He's only had 4 walks this year, striking out 20 times, and Abbott doesn't give many of them up anyway.
Mentioned earlier, Polonia once went 175 straight times without a walk. So did Charlie Hayes, exact same number.
3-2. Foul ball. A mighty happy Charlie Hayes will be playing for the New York Yankees this year. He really feels comfortable in the Yankee uniform and at third base here. Way out in front of it. It remains a 3-2 count as he fouls it off. A lot of empty seats here at Yankee Stadium. 15,800 tonight.
Saw Charlie Hayes spend a lot of time before the game tonight with Clete Boyer. There he is, great Yankee third baseman for so many years. He and Charlie were talking baseball, all kinds, mostly defense, for about a half hour on the bench before the game tonight.
And he gets the walk, just his 5th. Well, the leadoff man on for the Yankees, Gary Miller.
Gary, at Skydome, the ball continues to sail out. We showed you Derek Bell getting a pitch behind him. This one was right over the plate. But it was Mark Guthrie, not Scott Erickson. His first home run of the year gives the Jays a 7-6 lead. And speaking of long ball, bases loaded, Greg Jeffries' first American League home run is a grand slam. The Royals lead at 5-0 off Alex Fernandez as they go to the 6th. Back to you.
What was that, Gary? It was a what?
A salami. Jeffries is really starting to get the baseball. Harvey's ready if needed. The discussion with Jim Abbott concluded. Jimmy will stay on here, at least for the moment.
One of the reasons that Bob Rogers probably wants to stay with Abbott in this situation is Brian Harvey has one flaw. He does not hold runners well at all. He's got a very long, slow delivery to the plate. So you like to keep Abbott on as long as possible, but you run the risk of maybe seeing a long ball here. So there's cases for and against.
Now, Velarde moved up on the bat handle on that throw to first base. Now, whether or not he meant it is another story, but he got Gaetti's attention at third. He looks down to Clete Boyer for the signs. See if he really meant to bunt. Gaetti on the cut of the grass, moving in on the pitch. He squares very early. Straight bunt. Stevens looks to second. Goes to Gonzalez covering. Sacrifice for Velarde.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, little things that Showalter demanding out of his team is much better production, bunting, hitting and running, playing heads-up defense. And Abbott stayed in, so they couldn't have the stolen base. But now it'll be time for Brian Harvey.
So Buck Rogers makes his way out, and Jim Abbott, who's had a very fine start, is going to leave here after going 7 1/3 innings, and he gets a great hand from the Yankee fans. There's Jim Abbott, who will leave and watch now. The California Angels leading by a score of 2-1. He had a very fine outing once again.
Terrific outing. You like the fact that Buck Rogers has put him in a position where he cannot lose the game. Only one man on. The worst he can come out of it is with a no decision. And he and Scott Kamenicki have pitched tremendous baseball tonight. Abbott will sit by and see if Brian Harvey can close the door. He did it better than anybody in the American League last year with 46.
Hayes is on at second base. And there is the 28-year-old right-hander. And the numbers he has put up thus far this season. And they continue to be impressive. 46 saves last year, a new club record. Converted 46 out of 52 save opportunities last season. He now faces Matt Noakes, who is the pinch hitter for Pat Kelly. And Noakes takes the pitch inside. Noakes 2 for 3 with a couple of RBIs in the times he has faced Brian Harvey. He had a home run here in last night's game. And Noakes, as a pinch hitter this season, 0 for 2. Angels leading 2-1. Harvey gets it in. 1-1.
Looked like that might have been a straight change. Brian throws fastball split finger, and that one appeared to be a straight change or a fastball that slipped off his fingers. The bottom didn't fall out, and it certainly didn't look like it got up there very fast.
One. Noakes fouls it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Established the off-speed changeup, and then pounded him inside with a fastball. Now, after he is throwing the fastball inside, trying to get the guy to get the bat head out, next logical pitch somewhere in the sequence would be the split finger, starting on the inside part. So Noakes will pull the trigger early as Steve Farr starts throwing for the Yankees.
Here's the 1-2. Matt Noakes takes it down low. Good block made by Mike Fitzgerald. And the count is 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Unfortunately for Brian, he started that pitch so low that Matty Noakes never even was tempted.
Premier reliever in baseball right there, and Brian Harvey. Runner at second base. Hayes. Noakes is gone. And that's what Harvey can do so well. Comes on and gets the strikeout. Gary.
First at Fenway, Roger Clemens in a one-all game against Dave Fleming and the Mariners, and Pee Wee Briley singles in Tino Martinez, and the Rocket is down 2-1 as the Sox bat in the 7th. In Camden Yards, the A's have battled back. Blankenship singles in Willie Wilson after a Bordeaux sac fly. 4-2 as the O's bat in the 7th.
Here the California Angels have a 2-1 lead. And here's one of those great baseball situations. Don Mattingly with 2 down. The potential tying run is on at second base. He's 1 for 3 lifetime against Harvey. Strike 1.
What do they call this back on SportsCenter? The moment of truth? This is it.
And he wasn't happy that he went around chasing that one. 2 down.
So far, since Harvey's come in, he's only thrown 1 fastball. He pounded Matt Noakes inside just to get him thinking about getting inside conscience. Since then, he's been throwing the forkball.
27 strikeouts in 19 2/3 innings for Harvey. Mattingly will take that one. Same place, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Buck Rogers, the manager of the Angels, has had both Jeff Reardon and Raleigh Fingers at various times in his career and says, I think Brian Harvey is better than both of them.
Tied for second in saves with Rick Aguilera behind Eckersley. Eckersley 15. Harvey and Aguilera both have 12. Coming up here on ESPN after our ball game from Yankee Stadium, Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick standing by with SportsCenter. The Orioles, are they in a skid? Clemens against the Mariners. Barry Bonds, a complicated man playing some great baseball. They'll have the stories for you, all the scores and highlights, right after our game. 1-2 delivery to Mattingly. He missed it. Fitzgerald falls down. Can't get the out at first base. Stopping at third is Hayes. A strikeout, a wild pitch, and the inning is still on.
Boy, Fitzgerald kept it in front of him, but when he went to pick it up, slipped. Probably not quite the drama of Mickey Owens in 1941 missing a pitch. It went to the backstop in the World Series, and the Yankees came back to win that game, and it turned the series around. But, hey, it's the Yankees, and a good call by Derwin Merrill at first base. He obviously beat the play.
So the strikeout is Harvey's second. The wild pitch puts Mattingly on at first, and Hayes now is at third. 2 down, and the league's third leading hitter, Roberto Kelly, at 338. Strike 1.
Well, Harvey had to face what has been the Yankees' best over the years, and now he faces what is the Yankees' best, at least in the batting average department.
Kelly's 2 for 6 with 1 home run off Brian Harvey. 0-1 delivery. Fastball missed inside. 1-1.
Scored strikeout wild pitch, and Mattingly makes first base, and this inning's still very much alive.
Mattingly at first being held. There's the number. The 2-1 ball game here in the 8th inning. Angels up 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes now on Kelly.
Well, Roberto's seen 2 high heaters. Let's see if Harvey stays up here stairs. He's been averaging 93 miles an hour with the fastball, or if he goes to that devastating forkball with the bottom falling out.
He held opposing hitters to 144 with runners in scoring position last year. That's a reliever. Oh, he chased it. Got him. Another one of those split-fingered fork ball down in the dirt. Don't want to swing at it. Can't help it. Strikeouts. And the Yankees leave 2 on, and they still trail going to the 9th. At Yankee Stadium, Gary Thorne, Dave Campbell, and the 2-1 ball game continues as we go to the 9th inning. And it has been a pitcher's duel, but Kamenicki's gone and Farr is on.
Well, Steve's numbers certainly not too shabby. That 1.00 ERA, the Yankee bullpen, like a year ago, has been very good in the early going.
The bullpen has really been a lifesaver for the starters who have really struggled. And here's a man whose career looked as though it was ended a few years ago, has turned himself into one of the best relievers in the game. There is Mike Gallego, who's come into the game at second base. Mike had started 6 in a row since coming off the DL, was rested tonight. Now he's in there. And Farr goes to work here in the 9th inning.
Brian Harvey came in with 1 out and struck out 3. Pretty good.
Eubie Brooks, 0 for 3 tonight. Takes the pitch inside. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brooks. Angels want to add at least 1 more if they can here. Farr trying to hold them down so the Yankees will have their shot in the bottom half of the 9th inning. 3 strikeouts for Harvey, who came on. He actually struck the side out. And, of course, he had Mattingly reaching the wild pitch. With the arm pretty well wrapped up, doesn't he? Oof, breaking ball just skewed off the end of the bat. 1 and 2. Keeping her warm. Yankee Stadium, ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Pitching matchup, Jim Abbott, Scott Kamenicki. Everything we could have wanted. And it's not decided yet. Fouled right straight back. Abbott a run over 7 1/3 on 3 hits. Walked 1, struck out 3. Scott Kamenicki, 8 innings, couple of runs, 5 hits. Struck out 6 and walked 3. The former roommates certainly put on a show here on the mound tonight. Steve Farr, the 1-2 delivery. Breaking ball again, just enough to stay alive as he fouls it off. Brooks reaching.
See the DJ on the right sleeve of Eubie Brooks. That's in honor of Darren Jack. Darren Johnson, one of the great people I've had the fortune of knowing in my life, passed away, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago.
Randy Velarde over to Don Mattingly. Oh, 1 away here in the 9th inning. 0 for 4 night for the designated hitter, Eubie Brooks.
Angels thought the world of the man. Luis Bologna says he wants to win a batting title and dedicate it to Darren Johnson. Luis may do it. Pretty skilled hitter.
Very. Off to a real good start. 1 away, and here is Lee Stevens. That's what's happened to his average with the 0 for 3 here tonight. Farr with 1 down. This is outside. Steve Farr pitched on Friday. 1-2-3 9th inning. Got his 6th save. He's appeared now in 12 games. Save situations. He's 6 out of 8. And up high to Stevens. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. And the fans, Yankee fans, just kind of waiting here. The Angels up by a score of 2-1. 3-game win streak for the Yankees on the line. Farr with the 2-0 delivery. Breaking ball inside corner. 2-1.
Yankees have Tartabull, Mel Hall, Jim Lederich, or a pinch hitter, Kevin Moss or Deion James sitting in the bench. Wrong sport for this guy. DeMatha High School in Maryland, more noted for their basketball teams than baseball.
Farr working very carefully here to Stevens. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Right down the street from Marty Aronoff. He sees all their high school games.
Marty hasn't missed a game in about 20 years of any kind. He walked it. So Farr gives up the walk, and Stevens is on with 1 away. The French Open, our coverage here on ESPN, will begin on Monday at 9 a.m. Tennis for breakfast. The defending champions, Jim Coria, Monica Seles, looking for their 2nd Grand Slam title of the 92 season. Seles looking for her 3rd straight French Open title. 9 o'clock Monday morning. Great breaking ball, and he had Gonzalez reaching.
Rene's been betwixt and between tonight. He's been waving at the curveball and then taking the fastballs in the middle of the plate. Pulling the head off probably a little bit tonight, but he's been hitting well. 6-game hitting streak, and really has done a nice job filling in some holes for manager Buck Rogers and the Angels.
Breaking ball, check swing, fouled off the upper deck facade by Rene Gonzalez, and he's behind on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. California Angels trying to get out of the funk they're in right now, having lost their first 2 games played here, seeing their overall team record go to the 500 mark. Asked Buck before the game, he said, "No, I'm not surprised. Right now we're playing 500 baseball, not the way we're hitting." Inside, almost had the right arm of Drew Coble, the home plate umpire. Not quite. 1-2.
So when Buck left the West Coast coming on this 9-game trip, he told his team, he says, "Now we're really going to show the rest of the teams what we're made of." Unfortunately, at this point, the Angels are 1-4 on the trip, but are looking at a victory tonight. If they can add some here, and if Brian Harvey can slam the door in the 9th.
Mattingly holding the bag on Stevens at first base. A 1-ball, 2-strike count, 1 out. Farr working to Gonzalez, who has a 6-game hit streak still on the line. Maybe his last chance at it. Farr again inside, misses. And the count goes to 2-2.
Well, he's pounded him inside twice. Let's see what that is meant to set up. Logical would be the breaking ball down and away after he's gotten him inside conscious, but it's always a guessing game. When you're 2-2 as a hitter, you can't guess. You just got to protect the plate.
2-2 count. Runner goes. Swung on line to third. Hayes able to haul it in. Makes the flip over to Don Mattingly at first base. Steps on the bag and doubles it up. Stevens is running. He was all the way down to second. So Farr does his job. Now can the Yankees come back in the bottom of the 9th? Yankees are 0-15 when they trail going to the 9th inning. They are trailing 2-1. Danny Tartabull leading it off. Brian Harvey looking for the save. Jim Abbott waiting to see if he will get his 3rd win. Harvey came on and struck the side out in the 8th inning. Wano delivered to Tartabull. Chased it. 1-1. Batting .247 on the season. Tartabull 1 for 3 in the times he has faced Brian Harvey. And that's the strike in the outside corner. Harvey setting him up with a first pitch inside, then moving away for the strike. Minnesota, Toronto, nobody can decide who wants the lead in that ball game. Here's the 1-2 delivery. Came back inside on him. Count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. Harvey going after save number 13. Nobody else on the Angels staff has a save. Harvey, all of them. 1-2 delivery. Tartabull. Base hit into left field. Curtis will get it back in, and Tartabull has done his job. The leadoff man is on in the bottom of the 9th for the Yankees. Buck Rogers will pace.
Danny Tartabull gets a fastball in the middle of the plate, and he's not late. No chance for Gaetti whatsoever. So the lead man on in the inning, the tying run, decision time for Showalter. You've got a guy up with number 2 in the league in RBIs. I don't think you bunt him here. I'm going to let Mel swing the bat here.
Mel Hall 1 for 11 against Harvey. 1 on. Nobody out. Ball 1.
Behind Mel Hall is scheduled to be Jim Leyritz. 2 left-handed batters available, Kevin Moss and Dion James. And behind that spot in the batting order is Jesse Barfield, who has 2 home runs and 9 at-bats against Brian Harvey. So the Angels far from out of the woods in this one.
1-0 count. Hall takes it outside. Harvey missing by a lot. 2-0.
Well, let's see what Brian throws. He's struggling to get a strike over right now. Mel Hall is looking all over fastball right here, looking for somebody to drive out of here and end the game. If Harvey goes fastball, he's going to try to keep it away and make Mel use a big part of the ballpark.
Not a big lead at first base. Outside corner strike. Hall jumped looking back, thought it was away. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike, and he argues about it with Drew Coble.
Well, Mel wasn't very happy last time up when Jim Abbott was pitching. Close. Can't ever tell from the center field camera for sure.
Brian Harvey will go to the back of the mound while Mel Hall regroups. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Tarnable at first base. Hall could be 2. Scarsina, they get the 1 ball. Wasn't it hard enough? Gonzalez takes the flip at second base. They get Tarnable. Hall is on the fielder's choice.
Kevin Moss on his way out. He will be the pinch hitter. Very professional play by both DeSarcina and Gonzalez. They knew they couldn't get 2. They really took their time to make sure they didn't bobble it. So many times young players, in an attempt to make a double play that they really know have no chance on, will mess that play up and hurry it. DeSarcina comes in very casually and gives it to Rene Gonzalez, and Rene just gets off the bag wisely. Good heads-up play by both players. No chance for the double play on that ball.
So 1 away. Runner remains at first base. And now we will see Kevin Moss. Moss has not had a hit in 4 at-bats against Brian Harvey. He did have a home run in last night's game. Kevin Moss is a pinch hitter, 4 for 7 with a home run and 2 RBIs. 1 swing of the bat could end this ball game in the Yankees' favor by this guy. That's what Buck Showalter is hoping right here. Harvey. 1-1. Left-handers have really struggled against Brian Harvey. 150, the combined batting average against Harvey this year by lefties.
Rene Gonzalez playing a little deeper than double play depth. With a 1-run lead, he wants to try to cut down that hole between first and second and get at least 1 out in this situation.
And Harvey's ahead on the count. Ball and 2 strikes, fouled off by Kevin Moss. A pitcher's duel going right down to the final out here at Yankee Stadium. Gary Thorne and Dave Campbell on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Angels 2-5-1. The Yankees 1-4-0. The Yankees had the lead with a run in the 7th. The Angels got 2 in the 8th. Brian Harvey on for Jim Abbott to try and preserve the victory. 1-2 delivery. Moss, base hit into right field. Von Hayes down the line. On his way to third base. Hall, he'll be held, but the Yankees 2 in scoring position with 1 out. Boy, Kevin Moss has turned into quite the pinch hitter.
Well, Buck Rogers hasn't given the 4 sign yet to walk Jesse Barfield intentionally. I think you almost have to with his success against Harvey, the fact you have an open base. Von Hayes goes over and fleeces this back into the infield to keep Hall from scoring. But with this situation and the way Jesse Barfield has hit Brian Harvey, you'd almost have to think of putting him on, but it doesn't appear the Angels are going to do it.
3 for 9, 2 home runs off Harvey for Jesse Barfield. Infield charging in. Outside, ball 1.
The danger you have right here, if you try to pitch around Barfield, is thought of a wild pitch. And you see Jesse hadn't done much with men in scoring position, but I still think this situation, you got to be awfully careful with Jesse Barfield with his history against Harvey.
Infield drawn in, 1 down, 1-0 pitch. He stays away, 2 balls, no strikes. So Brian Harvey giving up a leadoff single to Tarnable, then got the fielder's choice in the slow ground ball by Hall. Kevin Maas delivers the pinch hit single. Double, rather, putting runners at second and third. 2-0 count. 2-1.
Looked like Barfield was going for the downs of the fastball over the plate, but Jesse pulled off it a little bit.
Cleveland's woes continue. Shut out by Texas. Yankee fans, many of them up. 2-1 delivery. Missed outside, 3-1. Bottom of the ninth, the Yankees trying to make their first come-from-behind ninth-inning win of the season. They can tie it if they can get Hall in. They can win it if they can get Kevin Maas in. And Brian Harvey, 3-1 on Barfield. Swung on, hit in the air to center field. Felix back, makes the catch. Tagging up Mel Hall. The game is tied at 2.
Well, right now, Buck Rogers probably looking at some stats, looking to see who Buck Showalter still has left on the bench. He's got the left-handed hitting Dion James available, trying to make the decision whether to pitch to Charlie Hayes or put him on and go after Velarde.
7th RBI for Jesse Barfield. 2 down. A base hit can still win it. Charlie Hayes. Strike 1.
Boy, Barfield learned his lesson on the 2-0 pitch. He pulled off a fastball away. That time, Harvey tried to go away again, and Jesse Barfield just tried to hit it straight away, and he really rammed it. The Angels caught a break because it was at Junior Fielding.
So the Yankees have come back to tie it here in the ninth inning. The 0-1 to center field. These teams played 10 innings last night, and they're at least going to do that again tonight. Harvey does not get the save work done. At the end of 9, California, New York tied at 2. Only the second time he has blown a save opportunity in 14 chances this year. So Jim Abbott can't win it. Neither can Scott Kamenicki. It's now up to the relievers, Farr and Harvey for the moment. As the Yankees came back in the ninth inning, a run on a couple of hits, leaving one in scoring position. Last night, New York Yankees would come on to win it in 10 innings, 5-4. Stanley will do the catching now with Lirritz out. Farr came on to face only 3 in the ninth inning, and he faces Gary Gaetti here in the 10th. Curtis and D. Sarcina do up for the California Angels. Steve Farr, ball 1 to Gaetti.
The Angels have an off day tomorrow, so that could influence whether Harvey comes back out. But chances are he's throwing quite a few pitches. Chances are Buck Rogers will go to somebody else.
Gaetti with a big cut. Gaetti's had a good offensive night tonight, couple of singles. That's good tonight, the way this pitching has been. And there's the somebody else.
Chuck Krim.
Steve Farr, the 1-1 to Gaetti. Breaking ball, popped him up outside of first. Stanley over.
Oh! Chocolate or vanilla, Mike?
I think that was a double cone.
Mike going, gosh, they've been a pop-up to the catcher all night. I've been sitting on the bench for 2 hours and 45 minutes, and now they test me. Yeah, just second grab. Routine.
So, of course, they found him as he comes on to do the catching. 1 down, and here's Chad Curtis. Curtis came on as a pinch runner. Alvin Davis delivered an RBI double in the 8th inning. Curtis would come on to run for him and score the second run. RBIs went to Alvin Davis and Luis Polonia in the 8th inning. So Chad Curtis up for the first time. delivery by Farr. Upstairs, down the right field line, sends the fans after the baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Farr got away with a hanging breaking ball to Gary Gaetti. One of the things Buck Rogers talked about with Gaetti is he said he's been jumping at the ball both defensively and offensively. Sometimes you see that hanging curve, you just want to leave your feet. But you can get away with hanging curves now and then. Don't do it too often.
Curtis had the same thing happen to him last night in the game. He entered the ball game late as Buck Rogers sent him in as a pinch hitter, and he stayed in. Tonight is pinch runner, and he stays in. Buck Rogers' team 1-2 in extra innings. The Yankees played their first extra inning game with their victory last night. Farr gets the corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Curtis. Rick Showalter's club with 4 games coming up against the Milwaukee Brewers. Conclude the homestand, and that concludes the at-bat. Steve Farr getting the strikeout, called 3rd strike on Curtis. Gary Miller.
Gary, as you go extra innings, the West Coast games are underway, and Bobby Bonilla's videotapes continue to pay off. Off Craig Lefferts, he singles in the opening inning. Schofield and Murray come home. The Mets have found their offense. 2-0 in the first.
Gary Bonilla says he's got it. He said a couple of days ago, I've found it. It feels good. I found the swing. I'm ready to go.
And he said he looked at some tape this year, and he was holding the bat up behind his neck. He said when he was hitting well before, it was by his shoulder. So, whatever. Bobby Bo says he's found it. 138 at-bats without hitting a homer until last night.
Luis Garcia is going to walk and will get on again with a base hit to center field. Luis Garcia on, and Steve Farr gives up the single to the number 9 hitter with 2 down here in the 10th inning. And it will bring up Mike Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald batting in the leadoff spot after Luis Polonia had a couple of hits in 3 at-bats and was taken out of the game. The veteran catcher from the Montreal Expo organization, now with the California Angels. 2 down, 1 on. There's the numbers for Fitzgerald on the year.
Remember about Buck Rogers and the delayed steal. Maybe not right at the beginning of the count, but if the runner gets behind or the hitter gets behind Fitzgerald, Mike, even though with home run power, this is a tough park to hit home runs in unless you pull it right down the line.
Luis Garcia, 3 stolen bases, 5 opportunities. Being held by Mattingly. Breaking ball by Farr is there. Strike 1 on Mike Fitzgerald. Atlanta comes away with a win over St. Louis, and Oakland in their battle with Baltimore win it again. So the Orioles continue to have their problems. That's 4 in a row lost now by the Orioles. And Oakland has won 3 in a row. They started the day a half game ahead of Chicago. Farr. The count, and again that breaking ball in on Mike Fitzgerald. 0-2.
Farr thinking about what he wants to throw here. Well, I talked about the delayed steal. If you're ever going to try it, now's the time. No balls, 2 strikes.
Oh, 2 down. Just in case he could get him leaning. Steve Farr spent 8 years minor league baseball in the Cleveland organization before he ever got a chance at the major league level, and got traded over to Kansas City. Now with the Yankees. Was a starter, now the reliever. 0-2 delivery, breaking ball, Fitzgerald to center field. Kelly's there. That'll do it. So Farr gives up a single with 2 down, but Angels unable to do anything with it. We go to the bottom half of the 10th inning, tied at 2. And that's how they'll probably do it, right there. We don't know who's going to win this thing. Tied at 2-2 going into the bottom half of the 10th inning, and the Yankees will see the third California pitcher as Brian Harvey's gone, working a couple, a run on 2 hits. Walked none, struck out 3. Youngsters with some souvenirs there behind the dugout. Chuck Krim.
Krim coming over in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers in the offseason. Mike Fetters, one of the players going on to the Brewers. Struggled a little bit in the early going. The Angels have been trying to teach him a split finger pitch. They think he needs that additional pitch. Fastball slider needs to be very good with the control, not overpowering.
Krim has been the workhorse on this staff for the California Angels, led the Brewers in appearances 4 consecutive seasons, and he's going to get a lot of work here. He was 8-5, 3 saves last year, working in 91 innings and 66 games. Randy Velarde takes the pitch down low, ball 1. Velarde batting 9th in the order. 229 on the season. Chuck Krim overhands it to short. Sarcina. 1 away.
Hey, Chuck.
And Krim gets that big first out. Mike Gallego will get his first at bat. Our storyline here tonight in this 2-2 game: Abbott, Kamenicki, non-decision. Abbott, the no-hitter, 5 2/3. ERA dropped down again to 2.42. Kamenicki, great outing, but non-decision. Barfield, the sac fly. But got this ball game tied up in the bottom half of the 9th inning. The Yankees, they got 1 in the 7th and 1 in the 9th. Send this game into extra innings. Liritz had the first RBI of the ball game, and the sac fly by Barfield the second. 1-0 delivery to Gallego is fouled off. 1-1.
Last 4 years, Chuck Krim has seen opponents' batting average go upward and upward from 247 gradually up to 305 last year. That's why the Angels think he may need that extra pitch.
Krim's 1-1 to Gallego is a base hit. So Mike Gallego with 1 down is on here in the 10th inning. Gary.
At Fenway, a 2-2 game with the bases loaded against Mike Schooler, and Ellis Burks puts a charge into 1. On the Yorkie way, his 6th career grand slam. Actually, it used to be Lansdowne. I'll ask Peter what it's called now, but it's a bad scene for the Mariners.
The Boston Red Sox have not been hitting home runs of any kind this year.
Been feast or famine for Mike Schooler. He's either gotten saves in the last week and a half or given up slams. He gave up a slam to Dave Winfield, gave up a 3-run homer to Lou Whitaker. Back-to-back games that cost the Mariners. Then he settled in and had a good road trip up to that slam by Ellis Burks.
Boston had 13 home runs as a team coming into the game. Ground ball to first. Stevens goes to short 1. DiSarcina, just like that. And wait a minute. Hang on. Hang on.
Home plate umpire called it foul.
Foul ball.
And Buck Rogers is coming out to have his say. Folks, the inning is not over. Mattingly still has life.
Remember, Buck got thrown out of the ball game last night arguing a play at second base. Until the ball goes by the bags, it is the home plate umpire's call. Stevens saying, I was in fair territory. And it did look like it from up here, but we are not looking down the line, as Drew Coble, the home plate umpire, was.
Buck Rogers started to say something to Durwood Merrill, and all Durwood did is point to the home plate umpire correctly. It is the home plate umpire's call. Well, let's see what we can pick up from this angle. A one-hopper. It's the position of the ball. Doesn't have anything to do with Lee Stevens whatsoever. And you can make a case for a foul ball based on that. It's not a perfect angle, but you can make a case for it.
Did look like he moved that glove outside the line, even though he was standing, for the most part, in fair territory. Drew Coble the call, and he had the best look. So Don Mattingly stays alive. 0-1 count, one down. Gallego at first base. Let's try it again. Gonzalez. DeSarcina. All right. And Stevens looks a little extra look on the call by Durwood Merrill by Stevens, the first baseman. Mattingly hits into the double play. We go to the 11th inning. Two teams can't decide who's going to get some offense going.
Well, this is where Yogi's from, right? New York. It ain't over till it's over, or as Steve Hummer in the Atlanta Constitution said about the America's Cup, it ain't over till the rich people pop the champagne and start suing each other. So we've had a good game tonight.
Yeah, good game. Both these teams are having trouble offensively, but take nothing away from the two starters in tonight's game. Kamenicki and Abbott were just outstanding tonight. We've got another pitcher. John Habian now comes on for the Yankees. And you see the numbers on Habian as he is on for Steve Farr, who was effective in the 2 innings after Kamenicki left. And a leadoff base hit into right field. Played in by Jesse Barfield. So Vaughn Hayes delivers a leadoff single in the 11th inning. That's his first hit of the night. Habian greeted rather rudely. And let's see how the California Angels will play this. They have Junior Felix batting third, then the designated hitter Ubi Brooks due up. There is Junior Felix. Charlie Hayes moving in at third base. Mattingly will hold the bag at first on Vaughn Hayes. They asked Junior Felix to lay a bunt down. He doesn't show on the throw to first. Felix has this season 2 sacrifice bunts, 3 sacrifice flies. Habian keeping Vaughn Hayes close at first. Steve Farr left the game 2 innings, gave up only 1 hit, no runs, strikeout, no walks. Pitcher of record now Habian for the Yankees. Cat and mouse going on with Vaughn Hayes over there at first base. Junior Felix lays off the pitch, high and away, ball 1.
Well, Habian, by going over to first base, has served 2 purposes. One is to make sure you keep Vaughn Hayes in check. Second thing is he was hoping to see maybe Junior Felix might tip off if he was going to bunt. Felix didn't tip because I guess he wasn't bunting. That's the good reason he didn't tip it off.
We'll try it again.
You know, Buck Rogers likes movement. He's ahead in the count 1-0.
Habian more throws to first than to the plate thus far. It's 4 of them.
Also showed a pretty good move right there. Vaughn Hayes coming over from the National League probably had not seen that one, and that was a quick move.
Habian ended up 4-2, a couple of saves last year. 90 innings worked, 66 games. Base hit into right field, hit hard by Junior Felix. Vaughn Hayes will stop at second base. And the Angels have the first 2 on here in the 11th inning. Gary.
Taking to Jack Murphy Stadium where Bonilla knocked in 2, but Fred McGriff answers. Wally Whitehurst starting in the place of Brett Saberhagen gives up this crushing double. Oscar Azokar scores. Gary Sheffield's home. The Pods have tied it as the Mets bat in the second. Back to you.
If you're going to beat the Padres, you better throw somebody out that mound that's got good stuff, because the mediocre pitching, they eat their lunch.
Well, I'll tell you, what a start they are off to. They may be the surprise team of the National League right now. Tony Gwynn second in batting. Fernandez 5th. Gary Sheffield 8th. 3 of the top 10.
Yeah, then you throw the crime dog, Fred McGriff, in behind those 3. Ducks on the pond.
Long ball hitter McGriff with 11 home runs, tied with Barry Bonds for the lead in homers in the National League. What do they call the top 4?
Well, Kevin Kernan, the writer for the Union, I kind of liked his. He called them the 4 tops. It's top of the order.
That's not bad.
Call them the Fab 4. they keep going, they'll be coming up with all kinds of nicknames. Fearsome Foursome, sooner or later.
Hubie Brooks batting .228, 2 on, nobody out, and everybody trying to figure out what is it Hubie Brooks is going to do right here. Well, he put the ball down. Mattingly and Hayes at first and third have moved in more than halfway. Stevens is the on-deck batter. Habian. Strike one. Mark Eichhorn for the Angels.
Took an L last night in relief. Right back up again tonight. He's got the rubber arm, though. He can pitch a lot.
Habian fakes the move at second base. Von Hayes had not wandered very far, so he's back easily.
Well, once again, I think all Habian's trying to do is get a read if maybe Hubie Brooks might be bunting. Lifts up that front foot, trying to see if Hubie's showing anything. So far, Brooks is not showing bunt.
Ooh. Nasty pitch. Way out of the strike zone, but Hubie Brooks could not stay off it, and it's 0-2.
Well, a good manager will know his personnel, and Buck Rogers probably figuring that Hubie Brooks, because he's been an RBI guy all his life, probably isn't too good at the sacrifice bunt. So Buck says, I try not to make my guys do things that I know they don't do well, and good managers do that.
Hubie Brooks has not faced Habian before. Down on the count, 0-2. Bay double play. Velarde, Gallego to Mattingly. They get the 2. Von Hayes moves over to third base, but Hubie Brooks hits into the double play. Well, they're going to have to get it done with 2 down.
Well, Buck Showalter, just what the doctor ordered. Habian made a quality pitch, 0-2. Hubie Brooks had to reach. He hit it hard, but right at Randy Velarde. Mike Stanley out to talk with Habian. They have the left-handed hitting Lee Stevens up with the right-handed hitting Rene Gonzalez behind. Situation here where you don't have to let Stevens have anything too fat, and it looks like they're just going to put Stevens on and go after Rene.
Hubie Brooks grounding into his 4th double play of the year. Glove being held out by Mike Stanley. Habian will give up the intentional pass here.
Yankees' 4th double play of the night. They came in leading the American League in double play. So again, just part of the improvement of the New York Yankees. Better infield defense, better overall defense.
Both teams' runs are coming so hard in this ball game. The strategy being taken at every chance to try and deny the offense. There's the intentional pass. Stevens goes down to first. Von Hayes remains on at third base, and Rene Gonzalez will be coming to the plate with 2 down. Game tied at 2-2 in the 11th.
Buck Showalter out to talk to his club, and in this situation, runners on first and third, he called his entire infield in. I think the thing they're discussing here is if for some reason Lee Stevens should take off for second base, how are we going to defense it? A lot of different options. You can fake a throw to second and throw down to third, thinking maybe the runner gets too far off there. You can throw back to the pitcher. You can throw through to second. But Buck just wanted to get everybody on the same wavelength, and when he called his infield in, that's pretty much assured that's what he was talking about.
Von Hayes, the lead runner at third, and Lee Stevens at first. 2 down. That has all been taken care of, and here is Rene Gonzalez. Outstanding numbers with runners in scoring position. He has a chance to continue his hit streak, which is at 6 games after taking the 0 for 3 through the first 9. Habian steps off.
Charlie Hayes playing about 3 steps back at third base. Gonzalez spots that. He could dump a bunt down. Certainly wouldn't be a squeeze with 2 outs, but the runner at third's got to be alert.
Center field. Kelly makes the catch. And the fans at Yankee Stadium up for Roberto Kelly, who helps out John Habian. The first 2 hitters on in the 11th inning for the Angels. They do not score.
Boy, Rene got all of it, but you see Kelly getting a great jump. And makes the catch.
This game tied at 2-2. Yankees coming up. Here's, boy, it's Roberto Kelly. Ground ball to short. De Sarcina. Oh, he got him, and they're going to argue about that one. Ed Napoleon, the first base coach, is out. Here comes Showalter. Durwood Merrill making the call on a very close play.
Well, I'll say one thing. Durwood was emphatic. Home plate umpire Drew Coble comes down and kind of talks Ed Napoleon back to the first base box. He said, hey, we don't need two guys picking on him. Buck's out there talking to him.
Roberto Kelly was short. He had a base hit, and he whipped the helmet into the dugout as he went back.
De Sarcina goes to the hole. This is the play that separates the great shortstops from the mediocre. Did he? Can't tell from that angle. Let's see. Now, Durwood doesn't get to see this in two different angles in slow motion. Well.
And boy, is it getting hot in the Yankee dugout. Drew Coble, a home plate umpire, went over. Wasn't hollering at Buck Showalter. He was after somebody else.
I think maybe it was the camera. Well, maybe they got a monitor down there, and somebody was saying, hey, the replay showed him safe, and the umpires hate that. That's why they don't have the eye in the sky anymore in Major League Baseball, because the guys in the press box had access to the television sets. They'd walkie-talkie it down to the dugout that the umpire missed it. And that's why they don't have the eye in the sky with the walkie-talkies anymore in Major League Baseball.
That's what he did. He went right over by the camera position where there is a monitor, and couple of the Yankees were looking to see the replay. The rule in baseball, of course, is you do not run close replays on the boards at the ballparks, on the video replay boards, for that very reason, so fans do not get on umpires. The commissioner, he stayed for the ball game. So, after all that, there's one down in the bottom of the 11th. Danny Tartabull, who singled in the 9th inning, standing in, batting at .257 on the year.
The commissioner said it looked close to him.
It looked close to everybody. Game tied at 2-2. Yankees hadn't played an extra inning game until last night, and here they are in another one.
Because you came to town. Thorny flies in the extra inning.
Credit Buck Showalter through all that. He didn't get thrown out of the game. Chuck Prim, the 30-year-old, on in relief. Showalter back and sitting. Let's play it out now. Each team has used 3 pitchers. Prim, that overhand breaking ball. Tartabull is gone. 2 down.
Looks like a curveball from Chuck Prim. Bottom fell out, but I think it had too big a break to be a split finger. So you're right, this is a curve, Jerry.
Base is empty, 2 down. Here's Hall. His 7-game hit streak has not been extended here. 0 for 4. Chuck Prim welcomes him. Fly high. Hall reached on a field of choice of the 9th inning and would score on Barfield's sacrifice fly. De Sarcina, trouble getting in front of it, but he got there and got there in time. And Prim retires the Yankees in order. We've completed 11 here at Yankee Stadium. Now let's see, who have I got left? We used him and him. Yeah, but the crew gets overtime. So whenever we do this, it's for the crew.
Yeah, the cheering in the truck was
That's right.
enormous.
Absolutely. Sports Center coming up. When we are done here at Yankee Stadium, the Baltimore Orioles continue to have their problems. Roger Clemens on the mound against the Mariners. Chance for another W. And more on Barry Bonds, who somebody thinks is a complicated man.
More time for Oberman and Patrick to work on their ad-libs, too. Rewrite.
Or shorten the script. We go to the 12th. Habian gave up two leadoff singles. Von Hayes, then Felix, first two up in the 11th inning. He got out of it. Help of a double play, 6-4-3. And he faces Gary Gaetti.
Notorious first ball hitter, Gary Gaetti.
2 for 4, 2 singles in this game. Habian gets the strike in on Gaetti.
Gary right down the horn. Pull the plug.
Hayes. Foul ball. Wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
That one called by the third base umpire.
Tim McClellan put the arms up and said foul ball, then everybody just kept on playing. Now,
Just looked up to see if there was any pine tar on the ball. But
yeah. He didn't even know he was. Gaetti didn't realize he was still at bat. Tim McClellan's the only umpire we haven't. Well, no, we haven't seen Rick Reed very much tonight. He's at second base. We've seen plenty of Drew. There he is. Drew Coble and Derwood Merrill have been in on it tonight at home and first.
either we're following this umpiring crew around or they're following us. One or the other.
We've seen them everywhere.
Had them in Texas last Wednesday. I had them in Oakland the Friday before that.
I had them in Boston last Friday. Here's the 0-2 delivery. Jammed him inside. Had one to show and did on Gaetti. Habian the count now, ball and 2 strikes. And again, fouled off outside of third base.
I was just thinking, Oberman, Sports Center tonight. Can you imagine the teachers? He and Berman went to the same high school.
They're all doing something else.
Yes, they're
After
all.
that year.
Yes, they're all in the funny farm.
They all have moved on to some other career.
Happy Haven.
Habian to Gaetti. He's going to get Charlie Hayes to field one yet. That's a fair ball. Nice throw made. Gaetti retired. One away. Gary Miller.
They're through at Fenway Park, but Jeff Reardon pitching in the ninth with 2 on, 2 in, 2 out, and Edgar Martinez flies out. Save number 337. He's now 5 shy of Raleigh Fingers. Clemens wins his 6th, 6-4.
Now there's the twosome that proved to be the stoppers for the Boston Red Sox. So Clemens gets another victory. And the Red Sox continue to move it on. There we go. They check it first. Derwood Merrill says yes. Chad Curtis getting his second at-bat. He struck out his first time up. Clemens leading the league. 1.64 starting today in the earned run average, and in strikeouts with 61, and second in opponent's batting average at 194. Guzman of Toronto, 184, the only one who had a better opponent's batting average for the starter in the league. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scott Kamenicki went 8 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits. For the Yankees, Farr came on a couple of innings, only 1 hit off him. And now we have John Habian. Inside corner, 1-2.
You mentioned Juan Guzman. I guess one of the charms of baseball is the imprecise nature of scouting. I mean, I have so much respect for baseball scouts. It's so tough to ferret out the great ones. But after the 1990 season, Toronto exposed him to the draft, and not one major league team took him in the Rule 5 draft. But hey, sometimes when guys come, they come real quickly. And that was the case of Guzman.
Nice piece of hitting by Chad Curtis. He worked the count to a disadvantage. Gets the base hit. Gary.
Bottom of the ninth at Skydome, 7-7 with 2 on for Joe Carter. Rick Aguilera gets the ground ball. Gagne and Knobloch turn it. They've gone to extra innings as he gets out of it with a double play. Back to Yankee Stadium.
And they both deserved extra innings there.
Yeah, misery loves company. Welcome aboard, guys.
Chad Curtis on with a base hit. The Angels have 9 hits in the game. 2-9-1 for the Angels. 2-6-0 for the Yankees. And here's Gary DiSarcina again.
Well, if this isn't a running situation for Buck Rogers, we have not had one all night. Said a couple of times he would probably start runners, hasn't, but with one out and a speedster like Curtis up and a contact man, this situation begging for a hit and run.
Curtis 5 for 9 and stealing bases this season.
Either this situation is, or I'm begging for a hit and run.
Either way.
Either way.
Either way. Mike Stanley hasn't done a lot of work behind the plate. He hasn't thrown anybody out 0 for 6 against base runners. Ball 1.
Well, I mentioned earlier, one flaw in the Yankees. None of their catchers throw well. Larritz or Matty Noakes or Mike Stanley. Stanley had a bad record down with Texas as well, but that's a tough staff to throw with because even though Ivan Rodriguez, he defies that because he's got such a great arm. Normal catchers aren't going to throw too many out with those slow deliveries the Ranger pitcher has.
Chad Curtis at first with Mattingly.
And I do believe we are in Texas next Wednesday, and Mr. Ryan is scheduled to pitch, barring rainouts and injuries and all that stuff.
Popped him up. Shortstop. Velarde. 2 down. 2 down, 1 on. And do you know the answer?
Named the only Angel to hit at least one home run in all 3 of the team's home parks. Wrigley Field, they were there in 1961. Wrigley Field, Los Angeles. Dodger Stadium for 4 years and moved into Anaheim Stadium in 1966. Only one Angel.
You're going to give them you give them a clue with that picture? Clue in a minute? Oh, no clue?
No clue. We'll let you know.
Just missed. Curtis, pretty good lead with 2 down.
Let's see, was it Steve Bilko?
Steve Rogers?
Mr. Rogers? Jim Fregosi? Bobby Knopp? The answer so far is no to all of the above.
Mike Fitzgerald waiting. He's had only 1 at bat. Flied out to center field. Habian convinced, as Dave is, that Curtis is going to be running.
Dean Chance? Bo Belinsky?
We've found a clue. But there are 2 down here, so we probably won't get to it. Habian steps off.
Chad looked like he was going. Chad, don't look like a hunting dog at point.
Runner not going, and the pitch is in for a strike. Strike 1. The answer is this man.
Handsome devil, huh?
Yes.
Oh. Buck Rogers.
The skipper. Right there. An original California Angel. He was number 12 when the Angels were put together in '61. He stayed with them for a number of seasons behind the plate.
Maybe the Houston Astros ought to talk to Buck. That first year, the Angels had a 27-game road trip. The Astros have a 26-game coming up, but the Angels endured a 27-game road trip that year. And they didn't make out too well either. 8-18 and 1 tie.
Pitch out. Runner not going. 1 ball, 1 strike on Mike Fitzgerald in the leadoff spot. 2 down, 1 on. Game tied 2-2, top of the 12th inning at Yankee Stadium. John Habian again the throw. Close on Curtis.
Today, Habian's got a very quick move to first base, and he's also very quick to home plate. He's got kind of that set of Jim Kotz at one time, kind of that half squat, but he's very quick to both first base and the plate.
Runner still not going, and the pitch is up high. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And Fitzgerald looks like he's waiting for Curtis to run, but Chad right now just not feeling he's getting a jump. Sometimes you got to gamble, though.
It's really hard to believe you wouldn't want to take off here. 2 down, 2-1 the count. Curtis with a dirty uniform again back in. He has drawn 7 throws to first base. Chad Curtis has from John Habian. All this time, Mike Fitzgerald waiting at the plate. 2 ball, 1 strike. There he goes. Popped up. Right center. And Kelly puts it away. So Fitzgerald is the 3rd out. Here in the top of the 12th, no runs, a base hit, and 1 left on. Bottom of the 12th inning, 2-2. Harry Thorne, Dave Campbell, and Mike Stanley in against Chuck Krim. And we go to the bottom of the 12th now. Outside ball 1. Jim Abbott, 7 1/3, a run on 3 hits. He had a no-hitter through 5 2/3 innings. Retired 15 in a row at one point. Harvey came on for him, blew the save opportunity, only the 2nd time that has happened. As he went 2 innings, a run on 2 hits, walked none, struck out 3. Now Chuck Krim, longest outing for Krim, 3 innings. He has done that twice this year. That one is foul back. Stanley, Barfield, and Hayes, 6, 7, and 8 in the order for the Yankees. Jesse Barfield waiting on deck. Chuck Krim, the 2-1 delivery. Foul tip out of Fitzgerald's mitt. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Stanley had a home run here on Monday night. The Yankee win.
Two delivery to him. Breaking ball missed up high. Had him fooled, but didn't get it on the strike zone. And Krim goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes for the leadoff batter here in the 12th inning. This has been a good position in the Yankee lineup. Double by Moss as a pinch hitter, an RBI single by Liritz, who started in this spot. Not this time. Chuck Krim gets his 2nd strikeout. And there's one away here in the 12th inning as Stanley is retired. John Miller, Joe Morgan, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, 8 o'clock this week, Tiger Stadium, where you'll see Cecil Fielder and those Tigers playing host to Kirby Puckett and the world champion Minnesota Twins. That's the Tigers and the Twins, 8 o'clock on Sunday. The plate was never fully locked.
Like so many people, Dwayne Kuiper said it first. We prepare for 3 hours, and we're not responsible for anything after that.
Base hit, Jesse Barfield. Chad Curtis up with it. And Barfield is on. That's his first hit of the ball game. A 1-out single in the 12th.
Jesse was right about one thing. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of writers talked to him when he was 3 for 39, and he said, guys, I'm not playing very well right now, but I promise you I won't stink all year. And he's got a key sacrifice fly tonight in the 9th inning to tie the game up, and gets a key base hit here in the 12th. So Jesse Barfield had a great spring for the Yankees, but really has been off to a slow start.
See if the Yankees can take advantage of it. Charlie Hayes. And Barfield will be held by Krim. Hayes lined out hard in the 6th inning to Gaetti, which at that point was preserving the no-hitter by Abbott. He's taken the 0 for here tonight, 0 for 3, a walk. In the 8th, he was left stranded. 6 left on by the Yankees. 4 of those in scoring position in the game. 8 left on by the Angels. Yow. Get down. Get back up.
Well, Charlie didn't pick up the spin. That was a breaking ball that got away from Chuck Krim. Hayes saw it coming at his noggin, didn't decide to wait around to see if it was a fastball or not, but it was a curveball that just slipped out of Krim's hand. It backed up inside.
The way he fell, he almost put his head right into the pitch. 1-0 count. 1 down. Breaking ball stopped by Fitzgerald. And the count is 2-0 on Hayes.
Angels outfield very deep, trying to prevent the extra base hit in this situation. You'll give them a single, but you want to cut down the gapper to keep Barfield from scoring.
2-0 count. See if Krim gives him anything to hit right here with 1 out. Now, California Angels mighty happy they've got a day off tomorrow. That one, left center field, towards the gap, hits in the gap. They roll all the way to the wall. Yankees win it 3-2.
Well, the Angels did everything right defensively. They had the outfield back, but Charlie Hayes hit a bullet to the alley, and nobody could catch up as it rolled all the way to the 399 sign. And the Yankees have won 7 of 8, 2 comeback victories in a row. They were down 4-3 in the 8th inning last night, came back to win it. And for the California Angels, a 1-5 road trip so far, and they fall below 500.
California's now 4-10 in one-run games this year. The Yankees 8-4. Charlie Hayes, the RBI double.
Well, it was a 2-0 pitch, and Krim didn't want to walk him, but he got it right in the wheelhouse, and Charlie unloaded up the gap.
Yankees with that hit have now swept the series. They have won 4 in a row, taking 3 from California. The commissioner, Fay Vincent. He stayed for the whole game. Winning pitcher Havey in 2-1. Krim the loser 1-2. And our final score, the Yankees over the Angels in 12, 3-2. For Dave Campbell and all of our crew, this is Gary Thorne from Yankee Stadium in New York. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Sports Center coming up next. Good night, everybody.